Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Doomsday. I can draw unlimited cards for bonuses. Chapter 81. Name: Black Charcoal *10. Type: Supplies card. Supplies card grade: F grade. Description: a piece of ordinary black charcoal, nothing special in actual use. Is it materialized? In the cell, looking at this item card, Lin Kun was dumbfounded. This seems to be the most outrageous item card he has ever drawn. Moreover, black charcoal is also F grade. This face is too dark. I think F grade should be the lowest grade, there is no lower rating. However, it is normal to draw such a card. His ability is to extract various things from the earth he came from. Black charcoal is indeed a supply, nothing wrong. And people gave him 10 yuan. After so many times, it is impossible that every time he draws a good card, a card that can be used, at least, this talent ability draws a card, there is no thank you for patronage. Lin Kun resisted the urge to spend the last 10 contribution points and make another gambler's impulse. He stopped in time, took a look, stood up, and said, I'm going to the bathroom and take a look at the situation outside. If the situation is better, I will go to Xiaoyi or squad leader Cao to ask about the situation. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, less than an hour and a half after the Xinxing Square survivor base was breached. The sky outside was dark red, and only one of the 5 Bakadan sailing ships moving towards this side, but the speed was very slow. Obviously, at least now, the situation has not taken a sharp turn for the worse. The panic in the survivor base has also been significantly reduced. No one is attacking the official of the survivor base anymore. Most of the survivors are calm and quiet, but no one is sleepy anymore. The war is coming, and the storm is coming. Lin Kun came to the bathroom, actually wanting to test his ability. An indescribable call. He must master the abilities of these new cards as soon as possible to ensure that they can play the greatest role on the battlefield. He didn't try it in his cell because he wasn't sure about this skill. If he made something incredible, it would be bad if he accidentally hurt Li Jia and the others. This shouldn't take too long. There were too many people in the survivor base, and the toilet resources were still a little tight at this point, and there were quite a few people. Fortunately, Lin Kun quickly got a pit. He took out a gel pen that he had gotten from the supermarket before from his Chenkin bag. This thing is not as important as food, Lin Kun only has this one. Lin Kun directly released an indescribable call to it. It was a very strange feeling. He felt as if a force was drawn out of his body. It was a mixture of dark power and dark energy heat flow, and it was suddenly injected into the gel pen. He noticed that a little dark energy was deducted. According to Li Jia's rules, dark energy can be naturally restored after consumption, and it can be restored a little in about half an hour, and the recovery of dark energy does not require special rest. Even if you keep moving or fighting, it will be restored after a certain period of time. The gel pen suddenly shook. Lin Kun stared at the pen. 1 second passed. 2 seconds. Did I open it the wrong way? Or did I use the wrong thing? Lin Kun thought about it and was ready to take out a sausage to try. But just when Lin Kun took out the sausage, he suddenly found that the gel pen suddenly moved. It first hit the ground, and then stood up by itself. The appearance did not change, but it bounced on the ground and hit the bathroom door. Without any external force, it came to life by itself. What surprised Lin Kun even more was that after the collision, it bounced on the ground, and immediately rolled over, changed its way, and rolled out directly from under the door. Lin Kun was dumbfounded. His gel pen was alive. Although there was no obvious substantial change, it was alive. And it ran out by itself. Lin Kun was stunned for a while, and there was a scream outside. Am I seeing right? There is a pen jumping on the ground. Monster! Monster! There is a monster! You are not seeing right, there is a monster. Maybe it is the electronic reconnaissance equipment of the Bakadans. Kill it, kill it. The bathroom was in chaos instantly. Lin Kun reacted quickly and was ready to stop it immediately. Can't he give orders? Lin Kun's heart moved, and he silently said, find a place to hide, find a place to hide. This seemed to work, and there was a sound outside. It ran away. Stop it, it wants to hide. Lin Kun pushed the door open and prepared to go out to check if the pen could run away. But as soon as he opened the door, he was stunned by the scene. The big men in the bathroom gathered together and were desperately chasing and blocking it. The scene was so beautiful. The pen was very obedient and tried its best to hide, but its IQ didn't seem to be very high, and it was struggling. Lin Kuan had to silently give another order, run outside. The gel pen suddenly jumped. Then it was caught by a large hand that suddenly stretched out, and with a snap, it was crushed. Lin Kuan raised his head stiffly and saw the tall Ni Wensheng walking in. It was he who ended the sinful life of the pen that had caused trouble in the bathroom. But Ni Wensheng frowned. It's strange, there is obviously no device in it. This may be a conspiracy of the Bacadans. But don't worry, everyone, I have captured it and will hand it over to the experts above for study later. The people around were delighted. Only Lin Kuan in the corner looked sad. My pen. Unfortunately, his thoughts were drowned out by people's voices and no one heard him. The people from the security team arrived quickly and took the pen away, ready to hand it over to the experts for analysis. However, the experts at the survivor base were destined to be unable to analyze anything. They could only be shocked to find that this pen had survived. The pen has no electronics at all to power it. Nearby, Ni Wensheng also saw Lin Kuan, clapped his hands to shake off a pile of debris, and said with a smile, "Brother Lin, you also came here after hearing the news. You don't need to do such a small thing personally, just leave it to me." Quote. Lin Kuan had a complicated expression. However, in this attempt, Lin Kuan also had a certain understanding of his new skill. It can indeed mutate creatures and items, but the IQ of such mutated things is not very high, and the mutated items have. The cost effectiveness is not high, and it may be used directly on the Bacadan people. Turn them into half-human, half-fish thugs for you to drive. This is a good skill for team fights. Turn enemies into friends. With this experience, I can directly apply it to the battlefield next time. Lin Kuan was meditating here. At this time, Li Jia also came to the bathroom. He glanced at Ni Wensheng and said to Lin Kuan, "Brother Lin, platoon leader Xiao and squad leader Cao are here." Squad leader Cao said that he was affected by Commander Chu has come to convey Master Fu Kai's instructions and wants to see you. Lin Kuan was not surprised by this. After all, his situation was special and different from ordinary survivors. But what he didn't expect was that the military would arrive faster than he thought. Before he could find him, they were already at his door. Moreover, Cao Xin and Xiao Yi came. They may have other reasons for coming. Let's go back. Lin Kuan stepped forward. Ni Wensheng watched helplessly from behind. "Brother, if you need anything, call me anytime." When Lin Kuan came back, Xiao Yi and Cao Xin were already standing in his cell. A few survivors looked curious and wanted to pry, but they were stopped outside by the guardsmen brought by Cao Xin. Lin Kuan came back, closed the door, and said, "Take a seat, you two." Cao Xin nodded and said, "You must have heard about the situation at the Xinxing Plaza survivor base, right?" Lin Kuan frowned. "It's really there." "That's right, the survivor base of Xinxing Square has fallen. Now it doesn't really matter. In this battle, our plan is actually more urgent than announced. We want to eat the 3 giant Barkadan sailing ships, because the main force of the 19th Group Army stationed in Magic City is completely at a disadvantage in Zhongcheng District, but because of the early landing, Magic City was blocked, and a large number of our troops stationed in Shanghai have not come in. They are said to be the main force of the Group Army, but in fact they have not reached that standard. If you want to reverse the situation, you must create effects and advantages on the edge battlefields. We prepared 3 high-yield cloud bombs, but unfortunately..." Cao Xin paused when he said this, then changed the topic and said, "However, the reality is not as exaggerated as what the base said. There are still resistance forces in the emerging survivor base. They have held back Bakadan's fleet in the east area. Although they have threatened that their next target will be our 6th prison survivor base, they will not be able to reach the city in a short period of time." Lin Kuan and others looked at each other. Cao Xin's words contained too much information, and they were all a little frightened. Because it is located in the East District, on the edge of the Magic City, the real overall battle situation in the Magic City is not only unknown to the survivors but also to many ordinary soldiers. It has always been unclear. They only know that the main force of Bakadan and the main force of the military are there. Midtown is constantly at war. But no one is particularly clear about the specific situation, how many troops there are in the military, what the strength of the Bacadans is, how the troops are dispatched, and how the battle is conducted. But what can be confirmed is that what they face in the Eastern District is actually only the affected area of this war. Sha Ching's words further confirmed this information. Then, what you two are here to do? Lin Kun got straight to the point. Are you going to tell us the next plan for the 6th prison survivor base? Sha Ching and Xiao Yi looked at each other. It was Sha Ching who said, "Yes, Mr. Lin, this is exactly what Master Fu meant, and he authorized us to tell you this information. Let me tell you first the final result of the high-level meeting at the survivor base that just ended 15 minutes ago. 1.5 divisions of our troops stationed at the survivor base of the 6th prison will be dispatched to a regiment and arrange for the survivors to be dispatched 10 hours later. Begin to evacuate, and the remaining ones will be stationed at the 6th prison survivor base and fight to the death with the Bacadans until the last soldier." Sha Ching spoke very fast, but his words made everyone change their colors slightly. Li Xinghe couldn't help but blurt out, "Evacuate, where to evacuate?" "To the Eastern District Military Hospital Survivor Base. Why don't you evacuate?" Li Xinghe, this seems to be the most normal inference. Abandoning the 6th prison and retreating to the military hospital, the two units joined together to resist the Bacadans. However, when faced with Li Xinghe's question, Xiao Yi and Sha Ching were silent. The silence lasted for about 2 seconds. Lin Kun came to his senses and asked in a low voice, "You said you should evacuate, so you have nowhere to go, right? All survivors here will be disbanded on the spot once they are evacuated." Sha Ching looked at him and nodded slowly. "You don't care about this?" Li Jia asked in surprise. The following words, "Mr. Lin, I am only telling you, and only you can know them. Never tell anyone." Sha Ching said with difficulty, "The East District is no longer viable. We said there is a division and a half here, but now the combined garrison at the 6th prison survivor base cannot form an entire division, and the same is true for the military hospital survivor base. We can't provide protection anymore. And as long as the troops exist, we will be the Bacadans' first priority target. So, what the base always means is that since we can no longer protect the survivors, we will evacuate the survivors. We will fight with the Bacadans for as long as we can last and consume them as much as we can. This is the last thing we can do. This plan has also been approved by the above. This is the last thing we can do. For the rest, the evacuated survivors were on their own. We don't want to give up on anyone if we can." There was also a touch of sadness and despair in his tone. Li Xinghe murmured, "Even if the military is the priority for the Bacadan attack, all the military have been killed. The Eastern District is only so big and the Demon City is so big. The remaining survivors can evacuate by themselves and can run to where to go. Where can I run without being found?" Neither Sha Ching nor Xiao Yi answered this question. Because by the time Li Xinghe assumed that the moment would come, the Magic City military should have completely collapsed, and they might all be gone. First, the military was killed, and then the survivors. There were more and more Bacadans, and fewer humans. At first, humans just lost the ability to fight them head-on, and then they gradually turned into street rats and hid to bet, until they were found one by the Bacadans, and in the end they were all killed. There will be no place for humans to stand in this magical city. If someone is lucky and hides well, they can survive for a few more days, but there are still more than 20 days until the end of the 30-day blockade. Who can survive more than 20 days? It's not that they don't want to answer, it's that they can't answer. This is a helpless situation. The military can only choose to do its best to obey fate, gather the last troops to fight against the Bacadans, delay time and consume their troops, and the rest can only rely on the survivors themselves. If things go like this in the East District, the situation in other urban areas may not be much better. Lin Kun took a deep breath, looked at Sha Ching, and said, "This is the result of the meeting. I think you came to me specifically because you have something else to do, right?" He looked at Sha Ching and others and felt that these two people had never come here to talk about the miserable situation, and he felt that the military would not be so decadent, they still had something to say. "Yes," Sha Ching said, "in difficult times, you must make a choice. In addition to this plan, the army commander-in-chief also has an ARC plan. there are 3 hidden military air raid shelters around the Magic City, which together can accommodate about 7,000 people. Theoretically, they can avoid the search of the Bacadans, lasted for 30 days. Of course, even now, there are millions of people in the Demon City, and it is impossible for everyone to enter. Only after analysis and judgment, high potential survivors, experts and some special personnel can enter and become one of these 7,000 people. Project Ark, of the millions of people left in Magic City, only 7,000 can be saved. Lin Kuan took a breath after hearing this. This plan sounds cruel, but it is the best choice in this situation. Only those who are valuable to human civilization can gain the right to survive. This may be the military's real plan. The military's ground troops and evacuated survivors will be abandoned. Only the Ark project is the real fire. The military's deadly battle and the chaos and panic that will inevitably result from the escape of the evacuated survivors are the best cover for this group of people preserved by the Ark project. At this time, everyone reacted. Li Xinghe asked. Then squad leader Cao, what do you mean by telling us this? Are we qualified to enter? Of course, Mr. Fu values Mr. Lin's potential very much. Regardless of whether Mr. Lin is willing to join the military, Mr. Lin is a treasure of human civilization and should be given priority protection. Mr. Fu has secured a quota for Mr. Lin. Logically speaking, this once I come, I should take you to give priority to evacuating before the evacuation begins. Only, Cao Shin paused here and looked at Xiao Yi aside. Xiao Yi's face condensed and he said, there is a very important matter, I hope you can take action. Cao Shin's words contained too much information and too much impact. 10 minutes ago, they were still waiting to see what would happen, but now, a series of plans were laid out for them. Or even a final escape plan that was completely abandoned. Hide in a bomb shelter. There are 20 million people in the magical city, but only 7,000 people are alive. Lin Kuan was not in a hurry to ask, or even said anything. He only nodded slightly and signaled platoon leader Xiao to continue speaking. He understood that such a spot could not be given to him for free, and he had to first hear what platoon leader Xiao's request was. However, for Lin Kuan, this Ark plan can only be the final option. He cannot choose to hide in now. After all, the human race in the Magic City has not collapsed to the last moment. Now he can still hunt Bacadan outside, people. The Ark project can be a last resort for him. Xiao Yi said. Squad leader Cao just said that there are emerging survivor bases and resistance forces. Our people are also there. They are protecting a group of scientific research experts in the emerging survivor bases. They are developing a weapon against the Palestinians. Biological weapons from Catan organisms. Don't be surprised, they are not our species and we have no need to be humane. They are probably developing similar things. This is a targeted weapon that cannot be redeemed in the Contribution Point Mall. Now, they are temporarily hiding in a community near the ruins of the emerging survivor base, but this is not a long-term solution. They must return to the 6th prison survivor base, where they will transfer the scientific research experts and valuable research results to the secrets of the Ark project. In the air raid shelter. You want me to participate in their rescue? Lin Kuan understood what Xiao Yi's request was. Yes, the Barcadans have covered the entire Sunshine Plaza survivor base area. Once they start to evacuate, they will be chased by the Barcadans. We need to meet, reinforce and bring them back on the way. Xiao Yi said, this is a very dangerous mission. We may even be chased by high-level Bacadan telekinesis masters and even giant sailing ships, but this group of experts and information are too important, and our existing manpower is very important. We are limited and cannot go all in. The meaning of Master Fu and Commander Chu is still, elite team, elite rescue, so. Cao Shin also took over and said, according to the plan, they will start to evacuate in an hour, and our reinforcement team will set off in 20 minutes at the latest. Mr. Lin, whether you refuse or join, we respect your choice. Quote. Lin Kuan glanced at them and said, I can choose when to go in Project Ark, right? Yes, the Ark plan is not the final plan until the last moment. If possible, of course we hope to defend the Magic City and protect as many survivors as possible. Similarly, we can also retain our troops, but the Ark plan the air raid shelters involved have already begun to accommodate qualified survivors. After all, if the priority is really needed to be activated, it will be too late. Quote. Sha Ching said, I understand that before you have completely reached that step, with your strength, you definitely hope to be active outside and get more contribution points. If you are eventually evacuated, we will tell you how to use the quota. When the situation is not right, you can go on your own. He glanced at the people behind Lin Kun again and said in a serious tone, You can go on your own, Mr. Lin, don't get me wrong, this is not an exchange of interests. Regardless of whether you help us with this evacuation operation, you will all get quota. We are unable to train a strong person like you. This quota is the only thing we can do. Lin Kun glanced at them, then turned to look at Li Jia and others behind him. He was silent for a moment and said, I'll go. Xiao Yi and Sha Ching were both a little surprised. They didn't expect Lin Kun to make the decision so quickly. Lin Kun just smiled at this. In the past, when playing chicken games, I always liked to wait until the end and then shoot when the one-on-one duel in the Destiny Circle came. But in this way, I am usually not their opponent, because they are all the way. Those who came here were much better with guns than I was. When someone is supporting you, you can always hide, but when everyone else is dead, those who can hide will have nowhere to hide. And at that moment, there will be a head-on confrontation in the Circle of Destiny, and there will not even be room to move. Yes, so. This time, I'm not waiting until the last minute to shoot. Since they are an important asset to our humanity, then I will do my best to assist you. Are there intact eggs under the overturned nest? They want to kill all the humans in the Magic City. Naturally, I will draw my sword to fight back. I will wait until you are all dead before I take action. That is not greed but stupidity. This was Lin Kun's answer. Behind him, Li Jia also took a step forward and said, Brother Lin, I'll go with you so that we can take care of each other. Besides, when we eat chicken together, I'm the one willing to shoot. Lin Kunchi glanced at him and complained, Yes, so even though we are in a team every time, I still play like a single player. Qian Yingying behind Li Jia didn't speak or move. Li Xinghe gritted his teeth. Boss, I'm coming too. I can help you with my skills. Zhao Wen narrowed her eyes and silently took a step forward. Lin Kun shook his head. Li Jia and I will go, and you all will stay. The abilities of Li Xinghe and Zhao Wen are indeed useful as support, but because their abilities are biased towards support and their growth is slow, it is difficult to protect themselves on the real battlefield. If you follow them, you will die. Li Jia's combat power has grown greatly recently, and his ability is also very useful, which can be used on the battlefield. Xiao Yi looked at this scene, was silent for a moment, and said, Mr. Lin, Mr. Li, please. Time is tight, and they are willing to talk so much to Lin Kun here, which is a manifestation of great importance. The two of them walked out first. In the room, Lin Kun pulled Li Jia and said, If something really happens, you should run quickly. I can't die. You are not as strong as me. You should be smarter. Li Jia was stunned for a moment and said, Brother, it's okay, you and I. If you still want to see your parents, don't be impulsive. Lin Kun interrupted him. Li Jia was silent. Lin Kun just smiled at him and walked forward. Li Jia followed him step by step. Xiao Yi's team was reorganizing, and the team was almost expanded to the size of a company. Half of them were still military soldiers and half were survivors. Lin Kun also saw Lu Rui and Ni Wensheng here. Ni Wensheng was invited by Lu Rui. Standing in the crowd, he greeted Lin Kun excitedly. In addition, there are some survivors, masters among the top 100 survivors in the East District. At the same time, they also have armored forces, and it is said that there are Air Force reinforcements, which shows that the military attaches great importance to this group of evacuees and the biological and chemical weapons research data in their hands. Lin Kun and other top masters were arranged on the same armored personnel carrier. Xiao Yi commanded the military forces, and Lu Rui coordinated the survivors. 27 minutes before the evacuation team began to evacuate, the reinforcement team of the 6th prison of the Magic City officially set off. One by one, military vehicles and armored vehicles roared out of the survivor base. In front of them, 3 unmanned reconnaissance aircraft flew at high speed, and behind them, 10 minutes after departure, 2 armed helicopters will take off to cooperate with them in combat. Abandoned vehicles clogged on the road or being violently knocked out of the way. A human-armed convoy was traveling through the streets at high speed. Neighborhoods on the east side are more desolate than ever. Both the humans and the Barkadans were concentrating and shrinking their forces, which directly ended the chaotic scene of fighting in the east area. This also bought Lin Kuan and his reinforcement team valuable time for their high-speed advance. They barely have any hold-up. It's just that the magic city itself is too big, and even if it is unimpeded, it will still take some time. The convoy was driving at high speed under the dim sky. The reconnaissance drone and Wuji who set off first were nowhere to be seen. Apart from them, there seemed to be no other living things on the entire street. Under the night at around 2 o'clock in the morning, this scene seems a little scary. But everyone in the car knew what their mission was this time. In the convoy, the armored vehicles were silent. Only news from the front kept coming. The mission target in the direction of Xinsheng Square began to retreat 3 minutes ago. The mission target began engaging in firefights with the Barkadans. They changed their retreat route 2 minutes ago, and we are adjusting our route simultaneously. Please note that we will encounter a retreating team in 7 minutes. Behind them are at least one formation of Barkadans, who are suspected of having high-level telekinesis masters. Please be prepared for a firefight. Messages came one after another from the headset. After the last reminder arrived, obvious gunshots could indeed be heard from the front. Their convoy was coming to an emergency stop, and a large number of infantrymen got out of the car and pressed forward at high speed. The armored troops behind were drawn up in line. Lin Kuan followed closely behind the infantry unit. Their survivor team acted separately from the military team, outflanking them from 2 directions. The voice of the person in charge, Lu Rui, sounded in the headsets of each survivor soldier. There is about to be a firefight. There is about to be a firefight. Our mission is to provide fire cover, fire freely, and cover the expert evacuation team through the dangerous zone to board the vehicle. Note that the Barkadans do not know that we are protecting the scientific research team and do not expose the target. Every team is in position. At this moment, their location is halfway between the emerging survivor base and the 6th prison survivor base. They are nearly 10 kilometers away from both survivor bases. This is currently the best evacuation location. Each survivor was also issued a rifle, and at this time they all arrived at the designated location to hide. The streets where they were hiding were in a mess, full of traces of the Doomsday, and in the distance, explosions and roars were approaching quickly. The first thing that caught the eye was an armored vehicle belching smoke and flames, which seemed to have been shot through by some kind of missile, followed closely by 3 tattered commercial vehicles, which were being attacked by a group of Barkadan airships. Blast! Fire! Lin Kuan and his survivors' front line, and the warrior infantry line on the other side of the street, opened fire instantly. At the same time, the armored troops behind them also opened fire wildly. Thousands of terrifying lines of fire whizzed past Lin Kuan's and their heads and landed on them. The street that Lin Kuan and the others could not see was far away, and soon after, the counterattack from Barkadan also flew by quickly. Heavy weapons exchanged fire in the air, and at close range, the bullets had connected together. 2 of the 6 Barkadan airships chasing the evacuation team were shot down in an instant. And at the moment when the reinforcement team opened fire, a stunning figure suddenly emerged from the smoking and burning armored vehicle of the evacuation team. Lin Kuan didn't even see it clearly. The figure was already as graceful as a giant. It shot out from the armored vehicle she was in and hit an airship behind her at high speed. She is dressed in blue, and her leap is like a faint blue light, elegant yet sharp. There was a short flash of light and a loud noise, and the airship exploded. But her figure retreated at high speed and landed firmly on the armored vehicle. That's Sha Ching. Ni Wensheng recognized her at a glance. Many people on the battlefield seemed to know her, and they all looked excited. But at this moment, the deafening roar suddenly came from far to near. Those were 3 Barkadan V-shaped fighters, carrying out ultra-low altitude bombings, instantly covering half of the street in a sky-high flame. Many people were blown to death before they even realized what was happening. Above Lin Kuan and the others, a missile crashed down. Lin Kuan, with quick eyesight and quick hands, took out his shield and resisted forcefully. The fire burst, and the forest group was spinning. Li Jia on one side helped him up, and a shuttle of bullets flew past his scalp. In the distance, a large number of Barkadan armored troops appeared, and people on both sides of the street appeared. The buildings were blown down, and they were like a torrent of steel rushing forward. In addition, there are a large number of Bakadan armed personnel following closely behind. Their equipment is uneven, some are running wildly on the ground, and some are driving messy modified airships, holding weapons high and letting out excited howls. Their number and firepower are several times that of human troops. In the headset, Lu Rui roared, "Cover, cover, rush forward, protect the expert team and scientific research materials." Turning his head, he saw him, Ni Wensheng and others charging out at high speed towards the flaming armored vehicle that rolled over in front. "Follow me." Lin Qun gritted his teeth and followed closely. At the same time, he directly installed the Iron Warrior shoulder gun on himself. The thing looked very advanced. It was not only a turret, but also a shoulder armor shape, connected to a monocular lens, which could see various parameters and fire through the neural connection. Of course, its more effective ability is automatic firing. Lin Qun took the lead and rushed out from behind with Li Jia, and then a Bakadan airship rushed towards them. As a result, Lin Qun did not even look back. His shoulder gun automatically turned 35 degrees, and bang 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 fired 3 plasma shells, directly blowing up the Bakadan airship in the air, turning it into a fireball in front of Lin Qun. Lin Qun raised his shield. The flames spread along the red line of the vibranium shield, and sparks flew. Lin Qun raised his head from behind. In front of him, the roaring Bakadans who came to kill were headshot one after another. His eyes swept around, and all the Bakadans on a fan fell down. The survivors and soldiers who rushed out from this direction, who didn't know Lin Qun, were all stunned. After Lin Qun rushed out for a few seconds, they didn't open fire, and a Bakadan in front was killed by Lin Qun. At this moment, the infantry battlefield nearby was in chaos, and the front of Lu Rui and others was hit by heavy firepower sniping. A giant Bakadan tank roared and fired, hitting Lu Rui and others so hard that they couldn't raise their heads. After one shot, half of the building collapsed with a wail. And the reminder from the general commander was ringing in everyone's earphones. Please note that all units, our reconnaissance aircraft have been completely destroyed. A Bakadan sailing ship is moving towards you. You only have 7 minutes to rescue the expert team and evacuate within 7 minutes, otherwise the mission will fail. You do not have the firepower to fight against this Bakadan sailing ship, and we cannot confirm whether there are Bakayan or other Bakadan high-level telekinetic masters in this sailing ship. Repeat, please. Lin Qun raised his head, his eyes passed through the smoke and the flames, and saw at the end of his vision, a sailing ship was getting bigger and bigger in his vision. That means that the distance between it and them is rapidly closing. Their reinforcements are coming. The meat grinder of the battlefield is turning. In the second minute when the giant sailing ship started to move, Lu Rui's troops were still suppressed behind the bunker. They charged twice and paid a heavy price. Ni Wensheng was almost killed. Xiao Yi led his men to charge again from another direction, but was beaten back by the second Bakadan heavy tank. On the street, the overturned human armored vehicle stirred slightly. The experts are inside, and they dare not make a sound or move. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared from one side. The machine gun of the Bakadan heavy tank opened fire instantly, and dense bullets were fired wildly on the ground. However, the figure only raised a shield high and resisted the intensive machine gun fire, and his speed was not enough. Pause for a moment and charge forward at high speed. The tank's turret moved slowly, and the cannon fired briefly. At that moment, the figure jumped up from the ground. On his shoulder, a shoulder gun automatically opened fire. The Bakadans along the way fell one after another. Land. He was so powerful that he rushed to the vicinity of the heavy tank despite the intensive firepower, then jumped up and jumped directly onto the tank. Immediately afterwards, a scene appeared that made the Bakadan people's hair stand on end. After the man jumped on, he actually stretched out his hands and lifted the lid of the locked Bakadan tank. At that moment, almost everyone had the thought, what kind of monster is that? That person is naturally Lin Qun. His set of combos was so smooth that the top hatch of the tank was locked, but he exploded with Mario's power, which could reach 27. Smash the vibranium shield hard enough to deform it, and then tear it apart. Although the Bakadans inside are scary, the people inside are not Bakadan armed personnel, but real soldiers. There are already combatants in the tank waiting for Lin Qun with guns raised, but unfortunately, its guns are not as good as Lin's. The eyes of the group are quick. The moment the top hatch was lifted, it collapsed. Lin Qun threw a fire talisman directly inside. closed the hatch. There was a loud bang, and the hatch cover was blown away. Lin Kuan directly became the focus of the battlefield. A group of Bacadans focused their fire on him. Several airships even aimed their guns directly at him. Unfortunately, their firepower is amazing, and so is the forest group's firepower. Is the airship coming? Directly hit the face with a fireball. When a fireball goes down, the person who was blown up by you will fall over on his back. Fight with me. The shoulder cannon automatically searches for the enemy, locking eyes with one glance. On one side, there is Li Jia hiding under the scrapped tank and assisting with discharge from a hand cannon. Li Jia's face was full of excitement, he was so excited to kill. In addition, Lin Kuan has a shield in his hand, and combined with Mario's super high mobility in jumping, he is like a god of war, more like a moving humanoid turret, firing wildly on the battlefield, killing as many Bacadans as they come up around him. Of course, Lin Kuan was also taking drugs crazily during this process. It was too late to drink the blue bottle, so he drank up the rest of the concentration pill. His energy skyrocketed, and he glared at everyone to death. When the shoulder cannon is out of bullets, you can also purchase an energy device from the Contribution Point Mall. 2 contribution points can charge 6 rounds of bullets. 1 bullet can kill at least 1 Bacadan. Xiao Yi, Lu Rui and others quickly came up to rescue the expert team. Xiao Yi's blood boiled with excitement. He understood that inviting Lin Kuan was the right choice. Many soldiers and survivors who didn't know Lin Kuan were stunned. Who is he? Is there such a number 1 person in our survivor base? So fierce. On the other side, the graceful Sha Ching also rushed out at high speed. She had an extremely sharp weapon in her hand that could help her penetrate all the way through the roof and paralyze a tank instantly. Ni Wensheng's eyes burned with envy and yearning. In his opinion, Lin Kuan and Sha Ching were simply too fierce. They were people he admired and wanted to be like in his dreams. Retreat. Retreat quickly. At this time, Xiao Yi had taken the experts out of the armored vehicle, formed a meet team with Lu Rui and other soldiers, and quickly evacuated backwards, preparing to join the armored forces behind them and evacuate immediately. However, at this moment, the Bacadans on the battlefield suddenly retreated rapidly. Li Jia ran out from behind the tank bunker with an angry roar and threw Lin Kuan down. Be careful. Lin Kuan only saw a meteor flying overhead. That's a lot of missiles. The surrounding 2 blocks were instantly enveloped in a torrential rain of death. It has been more than 5 minutes now, and the giant Bacadan sailing ship is approaching infinitely. The missile arrays on it fired in unison, bombarding 2 blocks, covering all human troops and even those they had no time to evacuate. Moreover, Lin Kuan and Sha Ching, the 2 killing gods who shone brightly on the battlefield, became their top priority targets. A row of missiles flew all the way over. They didn't know any military human experts, but they could see these 2 powerful humans on the ground. Lin Kuan saw the blood on Li Jia's face and his eyes turned red. Are you stupid? I won't die that easily. Do you have higher attributes than me? Li Jia's ears were bleeding and he seemed to be unable to hear Lin Kuan's words at all. He even said stupidly, "Brother, are you okay? How are you?" But at this time, it was too late to say anything. A row of missiles had already been fired over. Lin Kuan rolled on the ground, carried Li Jia and ran away. Mario's strength bonus is still in effect. He has 27 points of strength. He can carry a large living person like walking on the ground. With his jumping ability, he can walk as fast as flying. Run forward. Many people were killed, and the rest fled everywhere in the sea of fire and ruins. In front, Xiao Yi and Lu Rui were retreating. In that direction, 2 armed helicopters of the military rose up and fired missiles at the giant Bacadan sailing ship. On the battlefield, fire rained and broken limbs were everywhere. Lin Kuan felt that he was running in blood and fire, and the missiles behind him chased his butt and shot fiercely. This is not a solution, he will be killed. A touch of crazy cruelty flashed in Lin Kuan's eyes. He carried Li Jia in one hand, and a card slipped out in the other hand. It was giant. In the headset, Xiao Yi's voice was anxious. Go. Retreat quickly, Mr. Lin, retreat quickly, we have got the target person. His voice suddenly paused, because at this moment, he suddenly found that he could not move. An invisible force was rapidly sweeping across the entire battlefield. The shadow of the Bacadan sailing ship is covering the earth. This sailing ship is 200 meters long. From a distance, it looks like a sailing ship, but in fact, it is made of steel and iron, with many guns and floating more than 300 meters in the air. The so-called sail is just the huge flag of civilization raised by the Bakadan people. At this moment, a figure is slowly flying out from its bow, with an indifferent expression, open arms, embracing the world like a god. The voice of the general commander from the back sounded in everyone's channel. The identity has been confirmed. It is the 15th ranked in the East District, the telekinesis master Jia Lianu. The mission target has been updated. If necessary, you can abandon the experts and be sure to bring back the research data. Quote. At the moment when Jia Lianu appeared on the battlefield in East District 15, a graceful shadow suddenly rose on the side of the street that was almost in ruins. In the world controlled by telekinesis, she seemed to be unaffected. She turned into a graceful arc, extremely fast, rising from the ground at high speed, and rushed straight to Jia Lianu, the Bakadan sailing ship over 300 meters high. That was Sha Ching. She was like a faint blue lightning, her blue clothes dancing wildly in the strong wind, straight into the clouds, pointing her sword at the top telekinetic master of Bakadan. To be ranked in the top 3 for a long time, she is definitely not a peer. This Sha Ching's talent is also extremely amazing. Judging from her contribution points, her level is not high. With such power, it should be that her talent is very powerful, at least above B level. The Bakadan sailing ship instantly began to pull up the altitude, and the thrusters spewed out flames. At the same time, the turrets on it quickly turned and poured artillery fire on her crazily. It can be imagined that the Bakadans in the bridge were shocked by her, but the Bakadan sailing ship still reacted quickly and accurately, trying to knock Sha Ching down from the sky. No matter how powerful it is still a flesh and blood body. How can it compete with a steel ship? The Bakadan telekineticist seemed a little surprised. He didn't expect that there were humans who could resist it. He instantly gathered his telekinesis and his control over the entire battlefield instantly weakened. He turned to attack Sha Ching. The Bakadans didn't know the real target protected by the military. In their view, this group of humans was just here to support them. Therefore, it was better to kill Sha Ching first than to chase Xiao Yi and others. Because the potential shown by Sha Ching's combat power at this moment made Jia Lianu slightly shocked. If this female human is not killed, many Bakadans will die in her hands in the future. While she hasn't grown up yet, keep her here forever. Therefore, its priority for killing instantly became Sha Ching. And this is actually exactly what Sha Ching wants. She soared into the sky, not caring about those things anymore, just to buy time and opportunity for Xiao Yi and others to retreat to protect the experts and research materials. Sha Ching is so powerful. She deserves to be the first second in the East District. Seize the opportunity, retreat quickly, retreat quickly. Xiao Yi reacted immediately and led his men to continue retreating. Their mission was to retreat immediately without any delay. Overhead, 2 armed helicopters fired at the same frequency, helping Sha Ching soar into the sky. At this time, Xiao Yi suddenly heard that Lin Qun connected to his channel and said quickly, "I want to borrow an armed helicopter." Xiao Yi was startled. "What are you going to do? The armed helicopters are not safe. They are live targets in the air." He thought Lin Qun was scared and wanted to rely on the armed helicopter to escape. But Lin Qun's answer surprised him. "I want to shoot down that Bakadan sailing ship." In the corner of the battlefield, Lin Qun and Li Jia were hiding behind a battlefield wall, panting heavily. Sha Ching bought him time and space, so that he would not be the target of the Bakadan people's bombardment for a short time. Otherwise, he would be chased and bombarded all the time, and no one would have time to do anything, and he couldn't release the giant in his hand. He was also looking up at this scene. His eyes were bloodshot. He knew that Sha Ching could not succeed. 300 meters seemed to be her limit. Before 300 meters, her charge had shown a decline. When she just soared into the sky, she even left the Bakadan shells behind her all the way, and changed direction gracefully in the air, which meant that she had real flying ability, but with the breakthrough of 200 meters, her speed slowed down significantly and her movements were obviously sluggish. It was obvious that she would never reach the front of the East District 15. Moreover, the Bakadan sailing ship has been raising its altitude. Lin Qun held the giant card tightly in his hand, and held Li Jia with his other hand, saying, "The armed helicopter will come to pick me up in a while." After I go up, you run as hard as you can, run to Xiao Yi's side. I have agreed with him, he will definitely take you back to the survivor base, do you hear me? The duration of the jauntization is only 10 minutes, he can't use it now, he must start it when he can take action. Li Jia was blown up with blood all over his head and face, his expression was dazed, and his eardrums were perforated. He couldn't hear what Lin Qun said at all, but he seemed to understand what Lin Qun meant, so he just grabbed Lin Qun's hand with his bloody hand, and muttered over and over again, "Brother, no, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You have to go home with me, you have to go with me to find my parents, I want to take you to my house to eat iron pot stew and barbecue, Wait for me, I will go to the survivor base to find you." Lin Qun pulled his hand away with difficulty. And at that moment, behind them, all the sounds suddenly disappeared. Lin Qun turned his head. Under the sailing ship, Sha Ching had reached her limit. At an altitude of about 350 meters. The Bakadan ship stopped firing, but the East District 15 GLI at the bow angrily pointed a finger at her. Sha Ching's pupils dilated instantly. The next second, blood burst out from every blood vessel, every skin, and every organ in her body. That blood light dyed everyone's vision red. The blue figure instantly turned bloody, and fell from the air dejectedly, falling to the ground of endless ruins. At that moment, no one fired again. On the battlefield, whether it was the Bakadans or Xiao Yi and others who were desperately retreating, they were all stunned. The moment Sha Ching rose like lightning, it stunned the entire battlefield, just like the hope of mankind. But he was killed instantly. Is this the real master among the Bakadans? But she bought everyone the most critical bit of time and even a chance to fight back. The helicopter has arrived in front of Lin Qun. At the same time, Xiao Yi and the others withdrew to the position of the armored vehicle, and the first armored vehicle with experts had already started moving. A second vehicle carrying research materials followed closely behind. But Xiao Yi didn't leave. He held down a military vehicle and waited for Li Jia to come over. That was the agreement between him and Lin Qun. After listening to Lin Qun's thoughts, Lu Rui almost thought he was crazy. Platoon leader Xiao, are you crazy? Agree with his plan. Sha Ching is already dead, and he went to challenge the giant sailing ship alone. This aren't you looking for death? If Xiao Yi still had some illusions and hopes when he first heard Lin Qun's thoughts, but now, watching Sha Ching fall into the sky like a paper kite, he no longer had any illusions in his heart. He knew that Lin Qun would definitely die. But he had no choice. I can't persuade him, and he's right, no one is going, and none of us can leave. Xiao Yi gritted his teeth. Mr. Lin is a high-potential survivor we should protect, but this information is more important. R&D success, we can kill them all like pests. The demon city may be saved. At the same moment, Lin Qun had boarded the first drone. He pushed Li Jia out and roared in the strong wind, roaring the rotors. Go Li Jia, you can't help me. There's no point following me. It's useless to follow us, your parents are still waiting for you at home, do you still listen to me? Go back and wait for me, go back to the survivor base. Li Jia stumbled forward and ran forward. He didn't know if he heard or how much he heard, but his face was filled with tears and blood. He knew his parents were probably long dead. In his heart, his brother Lin is his last relative. He could only run forward as hard as he could, and run forward. But he knew what Lin Qun said was right. If you fall, get up and keep running. Don't dare to look back. Behind him, Wu Ji was hovering and rising. Lin Qun looked at the soldiers in the helicopter. Platoon leader Xiao told you what we are going to do, right? You may all die, and it's just to give me a ride. The pilot in the cabin rushed into the distance silently. The soldiers in the cabin just smiled and shook their heads. You are not a soldier, and you are not afraid. What are we afraid of? And it is our duty to cover the retreat. No matter whether you can succeed or not, we will give you a ride. The two helicopters alternately covered and rushed towards the giant Barkadan sailing ship. Jia Lianu didn't seem to care about the two Wuji, because this was obviously a suicide attack to buy time. Therefore, its eyes instantly locked on the retreating humans in the distance. It narrowed its eyes and flew forward. Despite this, Lin Qun and the others also encountered huge resistance. The Bakadan sailing ship and the giant ship were intertwined with intensive firepower. The first Wuji directly helped Lin Qun's aircraft with tons of resistance and exploded in midair. Huge ball of fire. When it climbed to 300 meters, Lin Kuen's aircraft was also hit by bullets, billowing smoke, and 1/3 of the fuselage was not destroyed. The driver made his final call. "Mr. Lin, we can only rely on inertia to give you another ride." Lin Kuen was already standing on the edge of the violently shaking Wuji. "The hatch is gone." The gigantism in his hands was already glowing. His body began to swell. Strangely, the brilliant light also enveloped his clothes, and his clothes were expanding in proportion. The giant Bakadan sailing ship has been raised to a height of more than 600 meters. Wuji can send him to 400 meters and nearly 500 meters. Enough, enough. The last moment he jumped. Behind him, Wuji's warriors were all looking at him, watching his body expand and become huge little by little, their eyes gleaming with shock. But those shocks quickly subsided. All they could give Lin Kuen was blessings. "Brother, go ahead and kill them. We can only send you here. The Bakadans we can't kill will be left to you." Lin Kuen's figure had jumped out. Behind him, Wuji was hit by a missile and exploded. The impact pushed Lin Kuen's body upward. And his body is growing crazily. Gigantic, gigantic. Hurry. The body size is enlarged 1.5 times. Double your strength, double your physique, double everything. Strength 36 points, combined with Mario's skills, reaches 54. Constitution doubled, 64. Headshot female skills. All creatures under 128 can be killed instantly with one glance. In the distance, the last military vehicle had already started and drove a certain distance. However, it was stuck in a quagmire under the power of Jia Lianu and trudged forward. They are currently on the edge of the influence of the force of anger. The opponent cannot crush them in one breath, but they will also be affected. But that means they're a living target. Just one missile. However, the expected blow never came. The people in the carriage turned around instinctively and saw a scene they would never forget. On top of the exploding and falling Wuji, Lin Kuen's figure became very large, reaching nearly 9 meters in height, and his body size was enlarged to 5 times the same proportion. At this moment, he transformed into a real giant. Combined with Mario's jump, the jump distance is 6 times his height, and he can reach more than 50 meters in one jump. But similarly, he became a living target in midair. A barrage of cannon fire turned towards him. The strong wind howled, and there was a dazzling flash of light in front of Lin Kuen's eyes. There was no way to avoid the whizzing machine gun bullets, and he could only let those terrifying large-caliber projectiles fall on his body, causing blood to splash. If he was in the state before becoming gigantic, he might have been beaten to pieces at this time, but now his physique is as high as 64 points, and he can still resist. He protected his head with a vibranium shield that was now somewhat small, and protected his heart with his arms. At the moment when Barkadan's missiles roared towards him, he spun around in midair and jumped cleanly twice. Missiles flew past his feet. All this happened in less than 2 seconds, and the intensive attacks of the Bakadan sailing ships passed by like rain. Lin Kuen had soared into the sky like a bolt of lightning, crossing the last 100 meters or so. Under the horrified gazes of many Bakadans on the bridge of the giant Bakadan sailing ship, they rammed headlong into the giant ship. At the same time, Jia Lianu withdrew his gaze at this moment. It looked at the giant human that bumped into it like a bloody gourd, with a hint of disdain in its eyes. This was seeking death. The space around the forest suddenly froze. 2 seconds were only enough for Jia Lianu to turn his gaze back and start using his telekinesis. Such a reaction was fast enough. It didn't expect that there was such a human hidden among the 2 human weapons that were obviously launching suicide attacks. But in its view, this human was nothing to be afraid of. A stupid suicide attack. Do you think being big enough means you are powerful? It's just pathetic and ridiculous. Its 4 eyes lowered their gaze indifferently, passing through the numerous blows, intending to crush this human into a ball of flesh and blood in the next second. And just in this second, Lin Kuen also raised his head. Looked towards it. The distance of 50 meters has been shortened. Lin Kuen had just been in Wujili and drank the blue bottle for free, and his energy level had already reached 32 points. All the conditions for the release of the headshot girl have been met. 6 eyes, staring at each other at that moment. Looking into those eyes that had killed an unknown number of humans, Jia Lianu suddenly felt an indescribable feeling. In that half-second, it felt a little uncomfortable, its head was a little dizzy, and the blood in its body seemed to be screaming loudly and uncontrollably. In the next quarter of a second, it realized what was about to happen, and the look in its eyes became infinitely frightened. The confidence and pride, disdain and contempt in the previous moment were not even fully transformed into shock at this moment. It can only desperately mobilize its mind power, trying to crush the opponent's body before the opponent's attack is fully effective. But it's too late. But at the end of this second, the Bacadans in the giant sailing ship were stunned for a moment, looking at what was happening in front of them in disbelief. Jia Lianu's head exploded like a bursting watermelon. Its headless body immediately fell from the bow of the ship, falling slumped to the ground beneath its feet. The thought power it aroused disappeared in an instant. Lin Kuen's eyes were fierce, and his eyes were blood red. Who instantly kills whom? You can kill anyone with a constitution below 128 points, but I can't kill you in seconds. You have successfully killed a foreign civilization creature and obtained civilization contribution point +1 and experience value +5,000. 5,000 experience. This Eastern District ranks 15th overall and is worth 5,000 experience points. And the next second, Lin Kuen's body crashed into the giant sailing ship. In the distance, with the death of Jia Lianu, the power that suppressed the speed of the car suddenly disappeared. Xiaoyi and his car suddenly accelerated and sped out quickly. And they all saw the scene just now, including Xiaoyi and Ni Wensheng and Lu Rui who were in the car further ahead, all with horrified expressions on their faces. They all thought that Lin Kuan was committing a suicide attack and could at most help him buy time. But who would have thought that Lin Kuan would kill the arrogant 15th man in seconds? You know, even Sha Ching was instantly killed by it and was no match at all. For such a strong man, if you look at the entire Eastern District, you can't find a few people who are its enemies. But now, it died like this, its headless body falling into the sky. What kind of monster is this? Ni Wensheng's eyes were wild. I knew it, he couldn't be looking for death, he is too strong, he is too strong. He grabbed the communication device and connected directly to Xiaoyi, saying, "Platoon leader Xiao, we can't give up on him. I apply to go back to reinforce Brother Lin." In the car, Xiaoyi swallowed hard, but he had no choice. Lin Kuan was several levels stronger than he expected, even surpassing Sha Ching. He instantly killed the invincible and powerful Bacadan telekinesis master. His thoughts began to waver. Maybe, I can really go back. Because in the distance, the huge Lin Kuan had climbed onto the giant sailing ship and landed on the deck of the giant ship. Although it was unclear what he was doing specifically, what could be seen was that the giant sailing ship there were pieces of fire on the deck, and the entire sailing ship was shaking. Xiaoyi lowered his head and glanced at the unconscious Li Jia beside him, gritted his teeth, and was about to make a decision. It's not like you go back to reinforce me, I'm going to. However, at this moment, a message from the survivor base headquarters came quickly. When he heard the news, Xiaoyi's expression suddenly turned pale. News came back from the ruins of the Xinxing Square survivor base. Baka Yun has just set off and is heading towards your headquarters. 2 other giant sailing ships have begun to turn and retreat immediately, retreat immediately. Xiaoyi's hand holding the communicator slowly lowered. He knew it would be useless for them to go back. If they could leave, Lin Kuan could leave on their own. If they couldn't leave, if they went back, they would just give away their heads. He could only desperately try to call Lin Kuan, trying to tell him that Bacadan reinforcements were coming. But unfortunately, in the giant state, Lin Kuan's ears also became larger. Coupled with the violent movements, the headset had already slipped to nowhere. It was impossible for him to learn this news. The convoy was getting farther and farther. Xiaoyi sat down on the ground, and Ni Wensheng smashed the communicator on the ground. He understood the helplessness of Xiaoyi's choice, but he could not hide the infinite anger in his heart. He was furious in the armored vehicle circle. Bacadans, Bacadans. But close to the battlefield, under the leaning and smoking giant sailing ship, in the corner of the ruins, there was a man who was looking up at the scene above him with bright eyes. Lin Kuan's headset was lost long ago, and the military could not contact him at all. He did not know that Bakayan was rushing here, and he did not know that there were 2 sailing ships moving here. At this time, his attention was all on the battlefield nearby, and he did not even have time to look over there. The battle situation was too tense. In fact, even if he knew, it would be useless. He boarded the Bakadan sailing ship, which was hundreds of meters high in the air, and he was in a dilemma. There was only one choice before him: sink the warship. Otherwise, even if he had Mario's jumping ability and could violate the laws of physics and ignore the impact when landing, it would not necessarily be a big deal if he jumped from such a high place with his current size, but he would be a living target and would be shot by the Bakadans. In fact, when he boarded the deck of the sailing ship, Lin Kuan was already a blood gourd. Although he avoided the key missiles, he was hit by machine guns and several naval guns. There were many bullet holes on his huge body and he was bleeding everywhere. If it weren't for his amazing physique and big body, he would have died long ago. Fortunately, there were no Bakadan gun turrets on the deck. The shoulder guns of the sailing ship were all on the side and below. There was a huge platform above, where some attack ships were parked. This was similar to the aerospace carrier that Lin Kuan had seen in Marvel movies before. It was just that it was more solid than the aerospace carrier, and the upper armor was also very complete. After Jia Lianu was killed, Lin Kuan successfully boarded the deck. The Bakadans wanted to kill him, so they could only send members of the Marine Corps in the battleship to encircle Lin Kuan. This huge sailing ship actually has not many people, less than 100 people. This is because when sailing in the air, the larger the size, the greater the energy consumption, and the more difficult it is to achieve technology. Although the Bakadan spaceship looks big, there are not many people. In the final analysis, they are not much better than the technology possessed by humans. Such a spaceship can be built in a short time if humans work harder. Lin Kuan hid behind an attack ship. His body was a bit big now, and he could barely hide behind the attack ship. Those Bakadans surrounded him from several directions and fired at him densely, all on the hull of the attack ship. Lin Kuan gasped. His physical strength was declining. He took 2 bottles of energy recovery potions in a row, observed quietly, locked several Bakadan warriors, and directly launched an indescribable call. The Bakadans who rushed up were horrified to find that their companions had unexpectedly changed their bodies and howled into monsters. Bakadans are different from humans. They are larger and have multiple legs. After mutation, they are also a new form of deep divers, uglier and more twisted, but more powerful and powerful. It seems like a scene from a horror movie. The Bakadans are howling wildly and firing desperately, but they watch their companions around them turn into monsters one after another and attack them frantically. In the end, even they themselves have become monsters. This is the first time that Lin Kuan has used this skill on a living creature, but it is surprisingly useful. He found that this skill also has a casting distance of about 70 to 80 meters. As long as the Bakadans are within this range, he can affect them. Moreover, consuming 2 points of dark energy can mutate a Bakadan. This is more than casting it on a gel pen, but this is acceptable. After all, the Bakadans are not comparable to gel pens in terms of size or attributes. For this kind of mutated Bakadans, Lin Kuan can also obtain a unit of civilization contribution points. Lin Kuan only has 9 points of dark energy, which can be used only 4 times normally, but there are also dark energy recovery potions in the contribution point mall. 1 contribution point is a bottle of dark energy recovery potion with golden liquid, which can restore 2 points of dark energy. Therefore, although Lin Kuan's dark energy limit is limited, he can hide behind the attack ship and take drugs crazily. Come on, a Bakadan, mutate 1. This skill does not require much action to activate, and only consumes dark energy. It is just right for Lin Kuan now, as a killer, to break through the encirclement of these Bakadans. In this way, the exchange can only be said to be equal in terms of contribution points. He mutated a group of Bakadans, but earned almost no contribution points, but he got a group of thugs. The only bad thing is that the Bakadans killed by the Bakadan divers seem to have caused some kind of bug. The Bakadans they killed will not calculate experience and contribution points for Lin Kuan. Because it seems that the Bakadans killed themselves, and civilized races killed each other, and it was impossible to gain contribution points. Just like Lin Kuan, killing humans also did not earn contribution points and experience. Perhaps, using a racially mutated deep diver to kill creatures of other civilizations can settle contribution points. But there was no time to worry about that at this time. In a moment, there were nearly 20 Bakadan versions of deep divers running around on the entire deck, and almost all the Bakadan Marines who came up from the sailing ship were turned into his thugs by Lin Kuan. That scene was like 100 ghosts parading at night. Even the Bakadans in the bridge were horrified. How did he do it? Turning our people into monsters. He is not human, he is definitely not human. What kind of ability is this? The Bakadans, who had been slaughtering humans and bringing fear to humans, felt infinite fear in a human at this moment. They looked at their bodies in horror, fearing that they would suddenly mutate in the next second and become those indescribable, twisted and ugly crazy monsters on the deck outside. On the deck, the situation had completely reversed. The Bakadans were slaughtered. The remaining few Bakadans stumbled towards an attack ship and wanted to start it. But they were doomed to fail, because Lin Kuan noticed them. He stood up from his hiding place and pushed the attack ship behind him to collide with this one, stumbling forward, and blood flowed all over the ground. But he succeeded. With the blessing of huge power, he directly pushed the attack aircraft behind him out like a hammer. With a loud bang, the two attack ships exploded, and flames and thick smoke rose. The deck was blown up. In the sky, a sharp whistle was heard. It was the V-shaped fighter planes of Bakadan that were shot down by the military, leaving only one. However, they just circled and passed by without firing, deeply shocked by the scene on the deck. They did not fire because there was no target on the deck at this moment. Lin Kuan led his army of deep divers and had already rushed to the interior of the sailing ship from the deck that had just been blown up. His injuries were serious, and he staggered when he walked. He didn't know how much blood he had lost, but the more this happened, the more he kept taking drugs, maxing out his energy and dark energy, ensuring that he was extremely excited, and rushed into the interior of the sailing ship. The terrifying deep divers opened the way, killing gods and Buddhas. Deep divers can not only be thugs, but also meet shields. After the mutation, these Bakadan divers were twisted and crazy, bloodthirsty and manic, but they only obeyed Lin Kuan's orders. Under Lin Kuan's command, they slaughtered their colleagues. The divers that appeared along the way were either killed by Lin Kuan's stare or turned into monsters with an indescribable call. Moreover, these Bakadan divers still had some memories and led the way for Lin Kuan. Let him kill all the way to the bridge. The door was smashed open by Lin Kuan's punch. Under the Giganti city, his strength was as high as 54. There was nothing inside the bridge that could stop him. He was like a god of war, and like a terrible god-favored person, sweeping the entire Bakadan warship. Most of the Bakadans in the bridge were non-combatants. When Lin Kuan didn't kill them, they were already terrified. Only a few security personnel dared to resist, but they didn't fire a single shot, and screamed in front of other Bakadans, twisted and mutated, and turned into Bakadan divers. The enemy is my manpower. Lin Kuan threw out the last fire talisman. With a loud bang, the entire bridge was bathed in flames. At this moment, the entire Bakadan sailing ship began to fall. It was like a huge ship about to capsize, with flames all over and thick smoke billowing everywhere. It first tilted slowly, then accelerated and fell, crashing into the ground under its feet. Lin Kuan sat on the ground of the bridge. The surrounding flames were hot, but he was panting violently. Pain and blood loss were taking his life, but his full energy made his brain highly awake. Everything around was wailing, and the hull was disintegrating inch by inch. Turning his head, outside the window, the earth was approaching infinitely. The fall of the giant ship was getting faster and faster. Lin Kuan gritted his teeth and stood up, rushed to the window of the bridge, kicked it open with terrifying power, and then jumped out. The last order Lin Kuan issued was to let the deep divers roar in, embrace his body, and turn it into the last defense. And near and far, humans and Bakadans all witnessed that scene. The Bakadan sailing ship fell from the sky with billowing smoke. Xiao Yi stood in the carriage and watched this scene. He really did it, with the smallest price and the smallest sacrifice. He really did what he said. May God bless him and let him get out of here unscathed. He turned his head and looked at the unconscious Li Jia, and whispered in his heart, I will fulfill my promises to you one by one. Whether you can come back or not, the people around you will have a place in the ARC plan. The 6th Prison Survivor Base Command Center, which received the real-time battlefield picture. Fu Kai looked at this scene and stood up from his position, staring at the picture sent back. The voice of his adjutant on the side was still unbelievable. He shot down a Bakadan warship alone. At that moment, the entire command center was silent. The rising flames in the picture seemed to be the only non-freeze picture. At a position of 1,000 meters, the second echelon of reconnaissance drones sent by the military were hovering. The picture they brought back to the command center was of thick smoke rising, and the ground covered with wreckage and fire. When the giant sailing ship fell, its tail hit a building on one side. Half of the fuselage was torn into pieces and it plunged to the ground. Half of the unfortunate building collapsed, and the surrounding streets were flooded with smoke. The infrared heat sense shows that there are still traces of life in the ruins and flames, and there are quite a lot of them. I don't know if they are Bacatans or... But the drone didn't dare to linger anymore, because there was a shrill sound of breaking through the sky in the distance. Bakayan has entered the drone observation field of view. Bakayan will arrive in half a minute at most, and the two giant sailing ships will arrive in a minute and a half. Our action this time attracted their attention. In the command center, the adjutant spoke slowly. On my own, I can kill 15 Bacatans in an instant and sink a giant sailing ship. If I were a Bacatan, I wouldn't be able to sit still. Fu Kai said. Spread out two search and rescue forces. Mr. Lin, we want to see people alive, and we want to see corpses when we die. Be prepared to welcome Platoon Commander Shao and his companions back. Then, start the 6th prison survivor base evacuation plan in advance. In an instant, the entire command center became busy. At this time, the latest instructions have been transmitted to the drone's smart computer. It pulls up at high speed, stops and activates the hidden function to monitor the situation below at a fixed point. The military did not want to give up on Lin Kun, whose life and death were unknown. The rescue team will set off soon. It will be composed of first aid personnel and personnel with special concealment talents. They will try their best to operate covertly under the eyes of the Bacatans. In this case, Fu Kai was willing to pay for 2 teams and a drone, which shows that Fu Kai attaches great importance to Lin Kun. Such a strong man must be brought back alive as much as possible. We have already lost one Chi Zichuan, and we cannot afford to lose another Lin Kun. Fu Kai stared at the screen. This was the highest praise he could give to Lin Kun. Chi Zichuan was the strongest man in the East District. In his heart, Lin Kun could already keep pace with Chi Zichuan. Although Fu Kai also agreed to let Lin Kun participate in this operation, he never thought of letting Lin Kun suffer there. However, the battlefield is changing rapidly after all, and he has no way to change many things. All he can do is try your best to bring Lin Kun back. Bring back the fire to humanity. Fu Kai felt deeply helpless in his heart. Such a talent should be given resources, protected, and allowed to grow completely, but they do not have this opportunity and conditions. All the cards in their hands must and can only be used. However, at the same time, Xiao Yi and his convoy had roared a long distance away and completely evacuated to a safe area. Xiao Yi sat in the shaking carriage, still looking behind him. In the carriage, it was quiet and silent. They got the job done. In the survivor base, many people were surprised to find that the ranking of the Eastern District human rankings had quietly changed. Yi Shadow, who was originally second, made great progress, overtaking Give Me My Job, who was first, and became the first. Moreover, the total number of contribution points directly exceeds the amount of my work by nearly 100 points. This is no ordinary gap. 100 contribution points, that's a full 100 Bacatans. People were talking a lot. Who is this Yang? God, is he going crazy? Now that the situation is like this outside, where can he find a lone Bacatan to kill? Could he have rushed to the Bacatan headquarters? But in Lin Kun's cell, Li Xinghe and the others knew who the ID, Yi Ying, corresponded to, and they were very excited. The boss is the boss. This is getting more and more fierce. In just a few hours, the total number of contribution points has increased to almost 300, right? Killing Bacatans is like slaughtering dogs. Li Xinghe looked excited. Qian Yingying looked worried. This is not a game about cutting grass. 300 Bacatans are a very large number. Lin Kun killed this alone. How many Bacatans would they have to encounter? I hope they can all return safely. Zhao Wen said. Maybe, they will be back soon. Lin Kun realized that he seemed to have been in a coma for a while. About half a minute, or 1 minute, he doesn't know either. At the last moment of the fall, he held the deceased Su Sheng in his hands, thinking of taking action immediately if the situation went wrong. But it seems, he was not killed. He is still in a gigantic state, with a constitution of 64 and very resistant to beatings. Slimy all over. Those were the unfortunate Barkatan deep ones whom he crushed to death. They provide the last line of defense for the forest. As Mario jumped and fell to the ground in violation of the laws of physics, Lin Kuan did not suffer any impact from the fall. But despite this, his body still hurt, and he seemed to be pressed down by a concrete slab. After all, his previous injuries were also very serious. He used all his strength to lift off the concrete slab. Mario's strength bonus is not over yet, but he has lost too much blood and is seriously injured, and he can no longer use this skill's strength. Each attribute is an intuitive reflection of the physical ability at its peak, but reality is not a game after all, and the physical state will directly affect the performance of all attributes. But the concentration technique is still working, coupled with the continuous maintenance of the previous energy potion. His energy was always at full strength, so he shook his head slightly and woke up completely. He crawled out from the ruins and stood up step by step. The scene outside came into view. Flames spread everywhere, the ruins of collapsed buildings, the ruins of giant sailing ships, and entangled broken limbs were all everywhere, burying everything. It was a truly apocalyptic scene. In the blood-blurred field of vision, the surroundings were filled with fire and debris, as well as blood that belonged to someone unknown. There is also an explosion frequency sound in the corner. There are only a few left alive. Lin Kuan knew that he had to leave here as soon as possible. Gigantization is coming to an end. He made too much noise. Some Bacatans must come after hearing the news. He didn't forget to take a look at his harvest. Experience is enough to level up. Contribution point net surplus, 237 points. There were about 100 people on the Bacatan sailing ship. At least 90% of those who crashed and Lin Kuan were killed on board before the crash. In addition, Lin Kuan joined forces with Xiao Yi and others at the beginning to massacre on the ground. After deducting consumption, this number is quite impressive, more than Lin Kuan expected. He struggled to his feet. He must leave as soon as possible. Just now in the bridge, he had already seen 2 giant sailing ships coming towards him. He is not stupid. He has just experienced a big battle, and he is not an Iron Man. He will definitely not be able to face 2 giant sailing ships. The wind is strong and howling, so running away quickly is the best option. He has not yet finished growing to a huge size. With Mario's jump, a double jump can jump at least 100 meters, which is enough for him to run. Lin Kuan stumbled to his feet and saw a Bacatan. Half of its body was smashed, but it was still holding a gun and wanted to shoot at Lin Kuan. But before it could fire, 2 deep divers jumped out from one side and bit it madly, tearing it to pieces. Those were also Lin Kuan's last 2 deep divers. Most of the rest died in various ways. He had climbed out of the ruins at this time and was trying to support his body. He guessed that there should be many Bacatans in the ruins. He killed at most less than a third of the Bacatans in the giant sailing ship when he boarded the ship. The rest all fell with the ship and some were killed by the explosion. Those who were smashed to death must also survive. But they didn't know where they were buried. Lin Kuan didn't have the time or energy to dig through the rubble and kill them one by one. He managed to stand up and prepared to let his 2 deep diver brothers take him away. The enlargement should be over soon, just in time. But before he could move, he suddenly noticed something and his movements suddenly froze. He looked up stiffly. Just when he saw a godlike shadow floating in the sky at some point, he was looking down at him with an icy indifference. Noticing that Lin Kuan had discovered him, it slowly said with a simultaneous translation device, "You were the one who killed Xie Lianu. That's amazing. You are the second most powerful human being I have ever seen. Perhaps you also know our number 1, what is his name? He seems to be Qi Zichuan. At Sunshine Plaza, he almost made me bleed. I thought he was already a miracle, but I didn't expect that there is you here. You humans are really amazing. Unfortunately, you are going to die too. I can give you the same honor. You can tell me your name." Its sound is relaxed and pleasant. It didn't take Lin Kuan seriously at all. Lin Kuan looked at it and listened to these words. His lips trembled slightly with anger, but the light in his eyes became crazy and sad. The enlargement is not over yet. The giant sailing ship is still a certain distance away. Baka Yun is so close. This was a situation that he had never imagined before. Bakayan was no longer among the Bakadan armies, but very close at hand and in front of his eyes. He could face it and challenge it without taking risks. The Lin Kun did not kill it, but it walked out of the army and came to itself. Lin Kun suddenly had a bold idea in his heart. Maybe, he can try to see if he can kill Bakayan before running away. Even if he failed, he could revive the dead and have a time belt, so he could escape again. This kind of opportunity comes once in a lifetime, why not give it a try? Once the gigantism disappears, Lin Kun is worried that he will never have this chance again. Lin Kun's footsteps completely stopped at this moment. His arms were lowered, ready to pull out the key cards from the Chenkin bag at any time, but his eyes slowly raised, looking towards the sky and towards Bakayan. Regardless of whether it works or not, you have to give it a try. Give yourself an explanation. Also give an explanation to those who died. The gigantic transformation will end in less than a minute. At this moment, Lin Kun's physique is as high as 64 points, and he can headshot 128 points. As early as the first time he drew the gigantic transformation card, Lin Kun wanted to try it on Bakayan. 128 points, maybe there is a chance, but he is not sure. Later, when the war started, Bakayan no longer moved alone outside, and he could not kill in the chaos, so Lin Kun never had a chance. And now, he can still upgrade. Lin Kun was standing up little by little. His body was 9 meters high, bathed in blood, and he stood up his chest inch by inch on the street of fire and ruins, staring at the Bakadan in the sky. Bakayan's words were shocking. Chi Zichuan was indeed killed by him, and Chi Zichuan didn't even make it bleed in the end. Its tone was contemptuous and proud. It had such confidence, and it was its strength that supported it. It has more than 30,000 contribution points. According to what Lin Kun heard in the survivor base, the contribution points that ordinary humans can provide are generally around 10 points. Only those with higher levels can provide more experience, but the experience corresponding to these 30,000 contribution points does not represent all of it. Before arriving at Blue Star, it was already powerful enough. What level is it? Can I succeed? I want to see how powerful you are. Lin Kun's heart was filled with anger. Looking at its arrogant face, he could not help but think of that day. It should pay the price for its killing. But Lin Kun was not blinded by anger. He noticed that behind Bakayan, in the distance in the sky, 2 sailing ships were approaching. He didn't have much time. But he didn't take action immediately. Instead, he answered Bakayan's question. Lin Kun, that's my name. He was talking nonsense here to buy himself time. His experience was enough to upgrade, and if he upgraded directly, he could increase his physical fitness a little more. Even a little, what if it was just this little bit? Lin Kun's attributes changed again silently. Name, Lin Kun. Level, 10, 7,916 thousandths. Strength, 38. Agility, 17. Constitution, 66. Energy, 32 30 seconds. Talent, card draw bonus ability. Lin Kun's basic strength and constitution reached 19 and 33, which doubled to 38 and 66. With the headshot girl skill, you can kill anyone with a constitution below 132 points. Before the sailing ship arrives, he has a chance to try. Try to see if he can headshot Bakayan. In the time he has gained, Lin Kun has quietly observed the surroundings and prepared a plan B. If he fails, he will retreat immediately. Even if he can't beat Bakayan today, he can come again tomorrow. Anyway, as long as he is alive and develops, he believes that with his ability, he will kill Bakayan one day. The time he should have gained has been gained. Lin Kun didn't say a word, stared at the opponent, and the headshot girl skill was directly activated. 50 meters is enough for the two of them. Lin Kun, I remember your name. Bakayan was still responding to what Lin Kun had just said. It didn't seem to care whether Lin Kun had other intentions. But after responding, it suddenly paused and said, is this how you killed Jia Lianu? What kind of ability is this? And below it, Lin Kun didn't answer, but his face was rapidly turning pale. Because he was madly using the headshot girl ability. 2 points of energy deduction. No reaction. Continue. 34 points, he can use it 17 times. No interval, no pause. If you can't directly blow the head, blow the eyes, nose, mouth, ears, key organs. But Bakayan in the sky didn't move at all. It just tilted its head slightly, and its four eyes watched Lin Kun's face gradually turn pale with interest. It was feeling Lin Kun's ability. At first, it was still joking. In its eyes, the human who tried to attack it was like a clown. It was not prepared to stop it, or even fight back. It wanted to appreciate the desperate look of this human who tried hard in the end. And it also felt that Lin Kun's ability was a bit strange, and wanted to feel it more. It could clearly feel the impact of Lin Kun's ability on it, although those abilities could not clearly kill it. But then its expression became a little confused, as if it didn't quite understand, then frowned, and finally, a solemn look appeared in its four eyes. When Lin Kun used it for the 16th time, it suddenly raised its hand and wiped the corner of its eye. A drop of blood flowed from the corner of its eye. Qi Zichuan couldn't make it bleed until his death. But Lin Kun did it. Something unusual finally emerged in its pupils. It lowered its eyes and looked at the human on the ground. Finally, a trace of seriousness and solemnity emerged in its eyes. Great, you are the most powerful human I have ever seen. This ability is too terrible. If it weren't for me, no Bakadan in the East District could face you without dying. Die, human. While speaking, Bakayan had already made a move. There was no contempt in its eyes. It took Lin Kun seriously and wanted to kill him as soon as possible. At this time, Lin Kun could no longer hold on. He knelt on the ground with a plop, gasping for breath, and seemed to be waiting to die. But despite this, Bakayan still mobilized his telekinesis and tried his best to kill him. Lin Kun's blood was almost drained, and his energy was exhausted. He half raised his head, and his blood-red eyes were bleeding. It was too far away. Bakayan. Its physique was far more than 132. He shot it in the head 16 times under the jauntization, and only let it shed a drop of blood. The effect of the jauntization was disappearing, and Lin Kun's body began to shrink. Bakayan's telekinesis was pouring in from all directions like a tide. His body with a physique of 66 points could only last for a few seconds at most. But these few seconds were enough. Lin Kun was not immersed in fear. He knew very well that if he couldn't kill it now, it didn't mean he couldn't in the future. Who didn't grow up from weak to strong, step by step? If you keep the Green Mountains, you won't worry about having no firewood. He just tested it with all his strength, and the result was that he was not the opponent of this Bakayan now. Then there was nothing to hesitate. Immediately start the back move and prepare to retreat. As an old swindler, Lin Kun seemed to be going all out, but he had already thought of a way out. Lin Kun seemed to be at the end of his strength, dying, but in fact he had already stretched his arm to the Chenkin bag, using his body to cover the place where Bakayan could not see. He had already grasped the women's time belt in his hand and activated it decisively. Sorry to bother you. I can't beat you now, so I won't bother with you. I'm running away. The moment Bakayan made a move, Lin Kun also made a move. He directly activated the time belt. Time goes back. Everything. Directly pull back to 20 seconds ago. This is Lin Kun's backup plan. Another chance. Let him make a move at will just now, to see how powerful Bakayan is, and if things can't be done, he will immediately go back 20 seconds to start plan B. The best of the 36 strategies is to run away. When you make a move, make as many moves as you can, and if you fail, decisively turn back time and run away. Chapter 91. 20 seconds. The moment the time belt was activated, Lin Kun seemed to see a white fluorescent light flickering, and then, when he came to his senses again, his body is still huge. Bakayan was still high up, looking at him with some confusion. Lin Kun reacted and immediately checked his energy level. From his energy consumption, you can determine the approximate time. At this moment, he still has 20 energy points. He hasn't bled Bakayan yet. But it has realized that there is something wrong with its ability. This is almost the same time as Lin Kun's initial calculation. Lin Kun did not use the headshot skill anymore. He glanced at Bakayan, turned around and ran away, jumped up and took off directly. With his giant body, he can jump more than 50 meters in one arc. Bakayan was stunned for a moment. He was feeling the power of the human in front of him, and judging from the opponent's actions just now, it didn't look like he was running away at all. Who would have thought that this person would run away as soon as he turned his head? It wanted to take action immediately, but looking at this scene, it suddenly fell into a trance. It seems that this was not the case. It seemed like he shouldn't be running like this. He seemed to have done something else just now. Bakayan frowned and immediately felt that something was wrong with what was happening in front of him. No, how is this possible? How could I be in a trance? Bakayan reacted immediately, calmed his mind, suppressed his complicated thoughts first, and prepared to take down Lin Kun first, capture or kill this human being. There are many ways to find out. But just as it took action, two deep divers pounced on it. These two deep divers were no match for Bakayan. They were killed in an instant, but the little time they lost was enough for Lin Kun. Lin Kun had already thought of this escape route. He observed that behind him, in the opposite direction from where the giant Barkatan sailing ship fell, although the buildings were also hit, they were still intact. Therefore, at this moment, while he sacrificed the last two deep divers to buy time for himself, he crashed directly into the buildings behind. With his huge body and size, he slammed through, and the smoke and dust boiled and enveloped all directions. Before he even landed, he took advantage of the cover of the collapsed building, changed direction, and jumped forward for the second time. After landing, jump again. Double jump in the air. In just a few breaths, Lin Kun had already jumped hundreds of meters. He endured the injuries to his body and jumped wildly. He is the best at running away and escaping for his life. These are all obtained through playing chicken. Even if there are many small teams wandering around, he can pass through thousands of troops and find a building to hide on the second floor without being discovered. The layers of smoke and dust, as well as the intricate buildings in the Magic City, have become Lin Kun's best defense at this moment. His height of 9 meters is very tall for humans and Bakadan people, but among the bustling city buildings, it is nothing at all. Bakayan in the back was dumbfounded and stared at this scene in stunned silence. It has never seen one run so fast and decisively. He ran cleanly and smoothly. In a few seconds, he had already jumped hundreds of meters. Moreover, how could he jump so far in such a big body at once? At this time, Bakayan's mind power could not spread as fast as Lin Kun's running speed. A moment later, amid the smoke and dust cover of collapsed buildings, where was Lin Kun's figure? In the blink of an eye, no one was seen. He also ran directly into the building to protect himself. What kind of ruthless character is this? Are you so decisive in running away? In just such a moment, Lin Kun not only completely ran out of its sight, but also out of the range of its power. It was impossible to catch up. Bakayan did not pursue it anymore. Instead, he slowly frowned and thought about it carefully. He felt more and more that something was wrong. The events in front of him were happening in the wrong order. Especially that crucial moment of trance. The more I thought about it, the more wrong it became. If it hadn't been for that moment of trance, it would have been impossible for it to catch the human just with the two little monsters blocking it. There is still a huge gap in strength between the two sides. Its constitution is as high as 212. Those attacks by the human just now are not worth it. Only this time it is in a daze. The more it thinks about it, the more wrong it becomes. There is even an unreasonable, creepy feeling. No, this human being must have used some weird means. This human being may be a huge threat. At this time, two giant sailing ships were approaching from two directions. Bakayan was shocked and confused. No, something is wrong. There is something wrong with the human who killed Jia Lianu. He must have done something, changed something. The more Bakayan thought about it, the more wrong he became. He quickly issued an order to the two giant sailing ships, right now, pull a net to search the nearby area. The man was seriously injured and was dying. Although he ran away, he couldn't keep running. Follow the look in that direction. Dig 3 feet into the ground to find that human. The other Bakadan warriors were terrified. They had never seen Bakayan value a human being so much, and they had never seen any human being escape from Bakayan's hands. This human being is the most powerful human being they have ever seen. The two giant Bakadan sailing ships quickly lowered their altitude, and while releasing a large number of Bakadan warriors, they also activated various biological detection devices to search for traces of Lin Kun everywhere. The V-shaped warship flew at a low altitude at a rapid speed. Soon, the V-shaped fighter in the front actually found the target. Lin Kun was 2 kilometers away. His jauntization had ended. Without the 66 physical bonus, his injuries were too serious. He could only find a place to hide urgently. He hid in a ruin and fainted. But his luck was obviously not good enough. He was found and locked by the V-shaped warship. The V-shaped fighter instantly lowered its altitude and flew at a low altitude. Under the direct instruction of Bakayan, it launched a missile to kill this human directly. Bakayan had no intention of catching him alive. It didn't care if Lin Kun had any strange abilities. He just killed him directly, and there was no threat. Apart from anything else, Lin Kun's means of escaping had already opened Bakayan's eyes and made him dumbfounded. In this way, instead of wasting time catching him alive and causing variables, it was better to blow him up directly. However, at the moment when the missile was coming, a slender figure suddenly jumped out from the corner where Lin Kun was unconscious and hiding. She moved very quickly and carried Lin Kun away. For her, carrying such a big living person was as easy as carrying a chicken. In the bombardment of the V-shaped battleship, she was chased by flames and explosions all the way, but her running speed was ridiculously fast. She was not affected by a missile. She carried Lin Kun and ran into the ruins of the city at a brisk pace. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared. Behind, a large number of Bakadan airships and ground personnel searched in a carpet-like manner. They would not stop until Lin Kun was found. 10 minutes later, the gate of the survivor base of the 6th prison was opened, and Xiaoyi's convoy quickly entered. Medical staff and expert teams rushed in. The wounded were transferred and treated as soon as possible, and the experts and research materials brought back from the survivor base in Xinxing Square were sent to the depths of the survivor base as soon as possible. On the military side, the division commander Fu Kai was also alarmed and had been keeping a close eye on the situation over there. Unfortunately, the second round of reconnaissance planes were also destroyed by the subsequent Bakadan sailing ship. However, the existing information shows that Lin Kun does not seem to be dead, because Bakadan has already started a comprehensive search. This Lin Kun, his ID Yang has not disappeared, he is still alive. Fu Kai murmured in a low voice, and his eyes could not hide his surprise. He even said excitedly, "One person sank a Bakadan sailing ship, facing Bakayan, who ranked 7th in the Magic City, but was able to retreat unscathed. In my East District, there is such a top strongman. Find him as much as possible, find him faster than the Bakadans, and pick him up, but don't bring him back here." Quote. Fu Kai's eyes moved, looking at the two sailing ships in the picture, and the fire was reflected in his eyes. He knew that the next target of the Bakadan people would be them. He was excited that humans also had such a strong man, but he was also deeply helpless, because they could not protect or cultivate such a strong man now. Even if he knew in advance that Lin Kun's combat power was far beyond expectations, he could not do anything, and he might still send Lin Kun out to perform the mission. In the battlefield of the Magic City, the balance of war still tilted towards the Bakadan civilization. Moreover, it had begun to fall completely. After a long silence, Fu Kai turned around and gave orders to start implementing the final plan prepared by the survivor base of the 6th prison. At this time, Xiaoyi and his troops were immediately redispatched, but Xiaoyi still left one person to guard Li Jia and wait for him to wake up. Li Jia's injury was not serious, he was just shocked, and he woke up in less than half an hour after returning to the survivor base. He was a little dazed, and he suddenly came back to his senses after a moment, and grabbed the people around him. "Where is Brother Lin? Where is Brother Lin? Where is he? Where is he?" Quote. But the people around him just looked at him blankly. That person was Qian Yingying. Qian Yingying, Li Xinghe, and Zhao Wen all came over and surrounded him, all very worried. On one side, the little soldier left by Xiaoyi gritted his teeth and said, "Mr. Lin is missing now, but don't worry, Mr. Lin is now the number 1 in the East District. His ID has not disappeared, which means he is not dead. There has been an order from above to search for Mr. Lin with all our strength. Don't worry." Qian Yingying sat by Li Jia's window and looked at his expression. "Lin Kun is very powerful, far beyond our imagination, and he can escape from Bakayan. Moreover, he has not disappeared from the list, and he should be out of danger now. He will definitely survive, but we must make a choice now. The survivor base has ordered all survivors in the survivor base to evacuate urgently. The military is ready to fight to the death with the Bakadans. We must make a choice now, should we leave or stay? Lin Kuan had a strange dream. In the dream, he fell into the deep sea and sank all the way down. In the bottomless darkness, a bunch of glowing lantern fish emerged. The faint light they emitted illuminated the great and indescribable existence deeper down. Instinctively he felt suffocated, until the next moment, he suddenly stretched out countless tentacles, grabbed Lin Kuan's neck and shook it, and shouted in the voice of the Chinese dubbing version of SpongeBob SquarePants, "You killed all my deep diver brothers. You killed them all." Then he woke up and realized he was really shaking. Being held on the shoulders by a girl, he was running in what seemed to be a hospital. But this girl's shoulders were not very broad, and she didn't have much flesh. Lin Kuan was fine when she was unconscious, but when she woke up, she was almost knocked to the point of vomiting blood. Lin Kuan's head was a little dizzy, and the thought that popped up at this time was still, what kind of woman is so strong that she can carry me and run like crazy? The woman was also surprised, and quickly put Lin Kuan down, staring at him closely in the dim light. "Are you awake? Are you okay?" It was an exquisite female face. Lin Kuan remembered her. It was Chu Yue. He was a little surprised. How could he be with Chu Yue? Lin Kuan glanced at his attributes. He shouldn't have been unconscious for long, because his energy had only returned to 23 points. In an unconscious state, Lin Kuan's passive concentration technique also stopped functioning. However, the benefits of high energy were obvious. Although Lin Kuan was weak, his brain became extra clear as soon as he woke up. "I fell into a coma. You saved me. How long has it been now?" "An hour and a half." Lin Kuan tried to stand up. He felt that his condition was not that bad. His physique in the giant stayed up to 66 points, his ability to withstand beatings is amazing, and he did not suffer any fatal injuries. Now he has shrunk back and looks scary, but his key organs are fine. But he seemed to have lost too much blood and his body was very weak. Just after he stood for a moment, his vision went black and his whole body felt burning pain, so he had to sit back down. It was Chu Yue who supported him. "It's me. You'd better not move around by yourself. I gave you a special healing liquid redeemed in the contribution point mall." Chu Yue said, "It has indeed been an hour and 30 since I took you out." 7 minutes. She was still the same as before, giving off the whole impression of being aloof, speaking in an orderly manner, and having a certain natural sense of distance. However, she looked at Lin Kuan with a somewhat surprised look at this time. She obviously did not expect that Lin Kuan could clearly understand the situation just after he woke up. Determine how long he has been unconscious. Hearing this, Lin Kuan still didn't understand that Chu Yue should have saved him after he fell into coma. He remembered that Chu Yue's strength was not weak. He straightened his expression. "Thank you very much. The contribution points you spent on me will be returned to you in equal exchange." "No need. I took the risk to save you because you are strong enough and stronger than me. If you live, the probability of my survival will increase. You don't have to be polite to me." Chu Yue's answer made Lin Kuan a little dumbfounded. But this woman does think clearly. But what Lin Kuan didn't know was that in Chu Yue's eyes, Lin Kuan was also a monster. On the battlefield an hour and a half ago, she was also there, but she didn't come with the military, but came from the direction of the survivors' base in Xinxing Plaza, and was outside the entire military. The battle was almost over when she came. She witnessed Sha Ching being killed instantly. When she saw Lin Kuan rushing into the sky, she thought Lin Kuan was dead too, but she didn't expect that it was Lin Kuan who killed the Ba in seconds. Catan 15 sank a large Bacatan sailing ship, and even escaped in front of Bakayan. She came out of Longcheng Dijing community and has been wandering around the East District for so long, but she has never seen such a powerful human being. This made her determined to rescue Lin Kuan. However, it was impossible for her to say these words. She only said, "If you want to thank yourself, thank yourself. Your physical fitness should be ridiculously high. Although your injuries are not serious, there are too many wounds. The blood loss has exceeded the threshold of normal human blood loss, but not only did you not die, you were able to wake up. Well, this means that your energy level should be extremely high." Indeed, Lin Kuan's physique and energy exceeded 30. The most important thing was that when he faced the attack of the Bacatan sailing ship, he was in a giant form, with a physique as high as 66. If it hadn't been for the machine cannon that shot him, normal bullets wouldn't even be able to break his skin. Where are the Bacatans? Where is Xiao Yi? Did the people who came with me successfully escape? How is the survivor base of the 6th prison? Don't worry, we didn't catch up. I got rid of them. Now we are at the Eastern District Hospital. I will go to the blood bank to find blood for you. If you don't get blood transfusion, your body will be dead no matter how high your constitution is. Your wounds also need to be disinfected. Once infected, that's trouble. I don't know what the survivor base is like, Chu Yue said, helping Lin Qun forward, and said, as for those military people, they should have escaped successfully. Bakayan did not order to chase them, and has been chasing you. At this point, she paused briefly, but still couldn't hold it back and said, even Qi Zichuan, I have never seen Bakayan pay so much attention to him. Lin Qun showed a helpless smile and said, maybe it's because I don't deserve a beating because of my dancing skills. Hearing that Li Jia and the others had escaped successfully, Lin Qun also breathed out a sigh of relief. This battle was extremely dangerous, but the final result was good. Bakayan was still invincible, but the Bacatans also paid an unimaginable heavy price in this battle. The most important thing is that their mission objectives were all achieved. Lin Qun did not die, and Li Jia and his team were able to escape unscathed. At this time, Chu Yue found a safe place and let Lin Qun rest here first. She stood up, asked Lin Qun's blood type, and prepared to find the blood bank. Before Lin Qun did not wake up, she did not dare to leave Lin Qun alone, but now it is different. Although Lin Qun was weak, he was conscious and had enough energy. The shoulder cannon and headshot female skills could all be activated, and he had the power to protect himself. Lin Qun panted heavily and had to half support himself to sit in his seat. He found that when he was seriously injured, his energy could still be restored, but the dark energy strangely did not recover and became 0. It seems that if the energy is not restored, he will die soon, and the dark energy is not restored because of the serious injury. Lin Qun felt a burning pain on his body. He shifted his attention and began to study his spoils of war. His experience had been upgraded. What was left was contribution points. His total contribution points reached an unprecedented number. 267 points. And now it was past midnight. He finished the settlement with the first ranking of regional humans and got an additional 30 contribution points. Now his ranking was far higher than the one behind. I'm working. One battle, more than 200 contribution points. Although it was fierce and dangerous, it was worth it. Moreover, he tested Bakayan's ability. It was indeed stronger than expected. A physique of 128 still couldn't kill it instantly. Of course, Lin Qun knew that his strength was getting stronger and stronger. This would only be the beginning. It would become easier and easier to get 200 contribution points in the future. And now, he had to think about how to spend these 200 contribution points. Lin Qun narrowed his eyes. There were more contribution points than ever before, and Lin Qun was at a loss as to where to start. Finally, he makes a choice. 50 contribution points are used to draw cards directly, and then there are 201 contribution points left, 100 to upgrade the card drawing talent, 100 to continue drawing cards, and finally 10 points are left for emergencies. Furthermore, if necessary, you can exchange some items. As his attention shifted, Lin Qun clearly felt that his body didn't seem to hurt that much anymore, but he had lost too much blood and his head was still dizzy. Chu Yue had bandaged him briefly, but the wounds everywhere were still oozing blood. The hospital was cold and dead, with no human beings at all. It was also dead silent outside. Through the window, only a corner of the broken city could be seen. This hospital forms a triangle with the 6th prison and Xinxing Square. The distance Chu Yue took herself to run out was far enough. This illustrates another point. Chu Yue's strength is quite good. This is also a master. Is she on the charts? Which number is it again? Perhaps due to severe blood loss, Lin Qun's head was a little dazed, and it took him a long time to start drawing cards. In the first round of card drawing, start with 5 shallow draws. The first card is a supplies card. Name, strawberry * 1000 grams. Type, material card. Description, use it to get 1000 grams of fresh strawberries, please use it in time. Is it present? Strawberry, it's strawberry. What does strawberry taste like? Lin Kuen's mouth opened slightly unconsciously. The way the world is now, it is almost impossible to eat strawberries anymore. Fruit is something harder and more precious than beef. In the survivor base, a few small tomatoes can even be exchanged for a golden melon seed. But he pulled out the strawberry supply card, and everything became possible. Lin Kuan clutched the card and glanced at the direction where Chu Yue disappeared. Maybe they can eat together. It can be regarded as repaying her. Although Chu Yue said no, Lin Kuan was not that kind of person. Taking advantage of others was not his style. But he didn't show it immediately, but looked at the next picture first. It's not completely safe yet, don't rush to take it out, what will you do if it breaks? These strawberries are very valuable. They are something that cannot be bought with money or even contribution points. Although the contribution point mall has everything you need, there are only a few applications in the contribution point mall, and they all serve the civilization war. There is absolutely no such thing. At this time, the second card slowly emerged. Another one. Cards from the Yu-Gi-Oh world. Name: Sanctuary Song. Type: Effect card consumable. Description: Using this card, the battlefield will be filled with songs from the sanctuary. Within 10 kilometers, the physical constitution of all civilized creatures will increase by 2 points, lasting for half an hour. Bonus card grade: E grade. Lin Kuan was slightly stunned when he looked at this card. Because this is a large-scale effect card. And it also has a positive bonus, which can improve the physical fitness of all humans within 10 kilometers. Isn't this just a battle song and everyone standing up? Moreover, there are still 2 points of physical fitness. Although Lin Ku's physique is exaggerated and has reached 30, but does he know what 2 points of physique means? An ordinary person with 8 points of physique can directly reach 10 points of the standard value, and warriors on the battlefield generally have 10 points. Point physical fitness, increase by 2 points, then all members will reach the human limit, special forces level. Looking at the entire battlefield, it is a huge leap in overall combat capabilities. The only flaw is that the duration is still too short. It's only half an hour, which may be why this card is only E-rated. Maybe it can be used when facing the Bakadan army. Lin Kuan was a little excited and put the card away. He was seriously injured and grimaced in pain at the slightest movement. However, he did not rush to draw the third card, but instead breathed a sigh of relief. He felt that even if his energy had returned to 24 o'clock, he would fall into coma again. His body could not bear it anymore. When will Chu Yue come back? Lin Kuan rested for a moment, exhaled, and looked at the third card. But the third card is surprisingly. Name: Fairies Aromatherapy. Type: Item card. Description: Using this item card, you can get an incense from an unknown fairy, which can light up and dispel all evil spirits. If you get close, you may fall into a period of madness. The holder is not affected by this effect. Special note: this card is one of the fairies' new clothes deck. Collect the fairies' concentration technique, the fairies' embroidered shoes, the fairies' hairpin, and the fairies' fragrance to synthesize the fairies' gaze card, and you will obtain the fairies' gaze card. Notice: is it present? This is the fourth fairy card. Fairy fragrance. The moment Lin Kuan saw the name of this card, he felt excited because he had actually collected a set of cards. He has collected the fairies' concentration skills, the fairies' embroidered shoes, the fairies' hairpins, and the fairies' incense. But what made Lin Kuan a little concerned was that there seemed to be something wrong with the description of this aromatherapy. Is this description of aromatherapy? It's normal to drive away evil spirits, but how come someone who gets close can become insane? This is a fairy's thing. Could it be? Lin Kuan suddenly had a burst of suspicion in his heart. He might have thought wrong before. Fairies are not necessarily the kind that float like fairies. There is another type that is extremely powerful and even bizarre, and is also the fairy in the immortal cultivation and mythology system of the world he came from. So who is this person? Lin Kuan did not rush to exchange the aromatherapy, but stared at the picture in front of him. Because with the collection of 4 cards, the synthesis is automatically completed. This synthesis will not take away Lin Kuan's previous 4 cards, but is just a conceptual synthesis, like a card drawing animation. It quickly emerges, and then merges together, emitting light together. Then, a golden card that Lin Kun has never seen before appeared. This is a golden card. It clearly says, Fairy's Gaze. Lin Kun did not rush to see the effect of the card, but turned his eyes and looked at the figure on the card. The previous few cards, the style of the fairy was bright, and it was very similar to the fairy that Lin Kun thought, but this one, the style of the painting was a sudden change. On the top of a cliff covered by dark clouds, the grass and trees on the ground were low, and she seemed to be in the world, but there was only a back figure, with her hair flying, as if she came from the mythical world. That temperament seemed to be able to dominate the ages. Just a sidelong glance, a look seemed to come from the painting, and wanted to see through Lin Kun, who was looking at this card from beginning to end. Just looking at this card, Lin Kun actually felt a chill all over his body, as if he was facing the abyss. He seemed to have an impression of this person, but who was she? Lin Kun thought for a long time and had no idea. He only felt that the name and identity of this unknown fairy was clearly wandering at the edge of his mind. He seemed to be able to remember it in the next second, but after thinking for a long time, he still had no results. Lin Kun had no intention of thinking about it anymore, and was ready to see if there were any clues about the effect of this card. Name: Fairy's Gaze. Type: Effect card. Bonus card grade: A grade. Description: This effect card has 3 effects. 1. Hold this effect card, place the fairy's incense, the fairy's embroidered shoes, the fairy's hairpin, and pray to the fairy while using the fairy's concentration technique. You will receive a special attention from an unknown fairy. According to the fairy, depending on your mood and favorability towards you, you may get extreme luck, which lasts for 2 minutes, or get extreme bad luck, which lasts for 2 minutes. Cooling time: 12 hours. 2. Drawing cards. With this effect card, you have a certain chance to draw skill cards, item cards and effect cards related to the unknown fairy. 3. You have gained the continued attention of the unknown fairy. When you are engaged in certain things, you may get more of her attention and receive her blessings and blessings. Special note: this card is a synthetic card from the fairy set. You have received continuous attention from the unknown fairy. Please behave seriously. Grade a card. 3 effects. This is definitely the card with the most effects that Lin Kun has drawn so far. The content above also made Lin Kun's heart move. Combined with the back figure on the screen, he had a vague guess in his mind. Fairy is just a title. Maybe she is more than just a fairy. She might be. What Lin Kun is a little concerned about is that the effect of this card is not weak, but it also has extreme duality. The first effect is equivalent to praying to the fairy. The effect is exaggerated: 2 minutes of extreme bad luck or good luck, not even an in-between state. However, when Lin Kun looked at this effect, he suddenly realized that it seemed that this effect could be used for his own card drawing. If you can draw cards with extreme luck, wouldn't it be possible to reach the sky in 1 step? With extreme good luck, you will surely draw a good card that is at the ceiling of the prize pool. The time it takes for Lin Kun to activate a talent skill to draw cards is about half a minute. This means that 1 extreme luck can be used to draw cards 4 times. In this way, the benefits are maximized. Lin Kun was excited when he thought of this. Isn't this a guaranteed good card? Of course, if you get unlucky. The second effect is also exciting. The fairy's gaze seems to create some kind of connection between the two. Lin Kun will have more chances to draw her item cards, skill cards and effect cards in the card drawing. Although the things in the card set are not very good now, Lin Kun is not stupid. He can see that this fairy is an extremely powerful person. When the card pool is upgraded, if he can draw out something related to her, it will definitely be the best baby. Moreover, perhaps then, his conjecture will be confirmed. After all, just this concentration technique, embroidered shoes, incense and hairpins are too casual. What fairy doesn't have them? Moreover, the things of fairies are not fixed, and their images must be ever-changing in their own lives. As for the third effect, Lin Kun guessed that this certain thing should resonate with this unknown fairy, or the actions and events related to her would receive her direct attention. Blessings and blessings. She should be blessed if she approves of it. This effect looked somewhat similar to the first one, but Lin Kun realized that it was not that simple. The first effect is just good or bad luck. But this one is a direct blessing and blessing. It may be a direct blessing of strength, enlightenment or something. What Lin Kun immediately thought of was, It is said that cultivation lasts for 10,000 years. At this time, the fifth card has also emerged. Yes. Mario cards. Name: Mario Carelessness Skill Card. Type: Skill Card Unique Type. Description: Using this skill card, you can get Mario's carelessness. In this state, you will get the negative status of carelessness and dizziness, but you will get 10 extra points of physical bonus. Lasts 15 minutes. Cooling time: 3 hours. Special note: this card is one of the Mario decks. Collect the Mario Jump Skill Card, Mario Power Skill Card, Mario Speed Skill Card, and Mario Carelessness Card to synthesize a Super Mario character card. Gain access to all of Mario's abilities and unlock the skill, Toon Power. This is the third Mario card. Mario Careless card. Just looking at this effect, Lin Kuan couldn't help but feel a little achy. However, this is very consistent with the setting of cartoon characters. They can be careless, but no matter how careless they are, they will never die. Therefore, a full 10 points of physical fitness were added. This is a terrifying physical bonus. It directly adds a human standard value. I have become stupid and stronger. This is obviously a purely brainless skill. It's just that being careless and dizzy in the real world is a bit dangerous. It's called losing one's mind. I just don't know whether the impact is big or not. If the impact is not very serious, it will still be considerable. However, this skill is still very useful to Lin Kuan. The pros outweigh the cons. If he were really on the battlefield, with the skill of the headshot girl, his physical fitness would be increased by 10 points, which is equivalent to the effect of 20 points. That is extremely terrifying. Lin Kuan's current physical fitness is 33 points, and the headshot limit is 66. With this ability, it can be directly increased to 86. The cooling time is only 3 hours. Anyway, on the battlefield, as long as the reaction is not reduced, be a little careless, just don't be killed by stray bullets. The 5 consecutive draws are carried out continuously. After a card is drawn, Lin Kuan holds it in his hand. The energy before and after is about 25 to 30 seconds. The next card is automatically drawn, and Lin Kuan has no chance to pray first. But he is not in a hurry. This blessing ability, if you can get extreme good luck, will definitely produce good cards. He plans to wait until these 5 rounds of card drawing are over, and then upgrade the prize pool immediately. After upgrading the prize pool, he will draw cards again. At that time, it will not be too late to use this blessing effect. However, although he had collected all the fairy suit cards, he still had not collected all the Mario suits in this prize pool. However, there was only one of the 4 Mario cards left, and Lin Kuan believed that it was only a matter of time before he could draw it. But Lin Kuan felt more and more dizzy, and his consciousness began to blur again. He felt that he seemed to be fainting again. But he suddenly had an idea and simply activated Mario's carelessness. Pull the physique to 43 points. The higher the physique, the stronger the physical quality, the faster the body recovers, and the more resistant it is. This is exactly what he needs most now that he is injured. Using 43 points of physique to resist injuries is definitely much stronger than 33 points. It is said that some experts want to study the changes in body strength and recovery of different physiques, but unfortunately, due to limited conditions, progress has been slow. The next second, his eyes went black and he fell on the bench in the corridor of the dead and dark hospital. The dementia effect of Mario's carelessness can also be offset in a coma. Lin Kuan was not worried about this. His physical condition had just improved and his energy was high. He would be able to wake up in a short while after fainting. On the contrary, he felt that the negative effect of Mario's carelessness did not seem to be very serious and would not have much impact on others. When Lin Kuan opened his eyes again, he found that he was being held on Chu Yue's shoulders again. Despite her slender figure, this girl is incredibly powerful. Not only was Lin Kuan on his shoulder, but he was also pushing a small medical cart with his other hand, which contained a variety of messy medicines, blood bags, and medical equipment. Lin Kuan took a look. His constitution was still 43, which proved that he had not been unconscious for more than 15 minutes. High amounts of physique and energy are constantly in play. However, you don't feel like you've lost your mind. Is it because my IQ is not high enough? This is a bit humiliating. Lin Kuan coughed dryly, reminding Chu Yue that she was awake. Chu Yue reacted and said, "Don't worry, I will take you to a different place first." As she spoke, she carried Lin Qun on her shoulders and walked as fast as flying. Lin Qun had never imagined such a scene, being carried all over the ground by a girl. Their current location seems to be in the inpatient department of the hospital. It is completely silent. The survivors will not come here to search for supplies, let alone the Bacatans. On the contrary, it is a quite safe place. Chu Yue obviously arranged Lin Qun here intentionally. It will take time for Lin Qun to recover and receive blood transfusions, and he needs a place where he can stay safe for a long time. Everything went smoothly next. Chu Yue was an octaflon and could even give Lin Qun an injection. You were lucky, the blood bank still has stock, and the hospital's blood bank has a separate power generation system. You are not a panda blood. Lin Qun couldn't help but ask, what did you do before? Mall manager, can you do that? Don't stab me to death. Chu Yue raised her head and glanced at Lin Qun. Lin Qun covered his mouth with his other hand. These are not the words and thoughts that his character would normally say. It seems that it was still affected by carelessness. Lin Qun simply remained silent. But after a while, he couldn't hold back. Shopping mall manager, are you the kind of employee with the name of manager, or are you the management? At this time, Chu Yue had finished transfusing blood to Lin Qun. She stood up and glanced at Lin Qun. I also found antibiotics for you. You are obviously so weak, why do you talk so much? Lin Qun reacted. Silent. Chu Yue said, I am a real manager, the kind who earn an annual salary. Lin Qun gasped. Earn an annual salary. That is a goal that he may never achieve in his lifetime. Of course, that was before the end. He couldn't help but said, then you definitely don't want the world to become like this, right? Certainly. Chu Yue sat on one side and closed her eyes to rest. Lin Qun looked at her and became quiet. There don't seem to be many negative consequences of Mario's carelessness. After a moment, Chu Yue spoke again, suddenly saying, Sha Ching is not dead. Lin Qun looked at her with some surprise. Look, she's still on the ranking list, number 9. Only then did Lin Qun notice that Sha Ching had not disappeared from the regional rankings and was still in 9th place. However, Lin Qun had been fighting before and was seriously injured, so he had hardly checked it until now. Although I don't know how Sha Ching survived such injuries, the survival of such a strong human being makes people feel relieved for no reason. How did she survive? But the two of them didn't say anything more. Lin Qun was not in a hurry to upgrade the card pool. As Chu Yue said, he was too weak and lost a lot of blood. If he couldn't get blood transfusion in time, he would die no matter how strong his physique and energy were. In fact, if it weren't for his extraordinary attributes, based on the amount of blood he had lost along the way, even if he was lucky enough not to die, he would have been in a coma for a long time. Let alone talking about drawing cards, the highest possibility would be to be comatose until death. Even so, Lin Qun also needs to rest. He also glanced outside. The inpatient department is on the 16th floor. From here, you can see the bloody silhouette of the sky in the Magic City. It's been a long night. But apart from that, nothing more can be seen. Lin Qun also didn't know what happened to Li Jia and the others at the 6th prison survivor base. But he understands that this is not a matter of anxiety. He needs to restore himself first and then improve himself as much as possible. The next time we meet, Bakayan will be killed. Lin Qun lowered his eyes. There was a hint of ferocity in his eyes. Bakayan didn't kill him in this battle. These 200 contribution points were the beginning of his takeoff against the wind. In a state of confusion, Lin Qun fell asleep. This time, he did not dream. He slept deeply. When he opened his eyes again, the sky outside was already filled with fish belly white. He is still receiving blood transfusions. Chu Yue replaced the blood bag for him. He turned around and took a look. Chu Yue was still sitting there, coldly closing her eyes and concentrating. She didn't know whether she was awake or asleep. But she shouldn't have fallen asleep, otherwise who changed the blood bag? Of course, Lin Qun was not that careless, but he was indeed seriously injured and his consciousness was groggy. Lin Qun felt a little better. His physique was high enough, and he recovered quickly enough. After the blood transfusion, he ate something, and with the rest, he felt that his strength had returned, and the wounds on his body didn't seem to hurt so much anymore. After recovering a little, Lin Kun could no longer sit still. With the enemy at hand and the magic city in crisis, it is not time to relax and rest. Lin Kun immediately seized the time and prepared to start the next round of card drawing. This time, Lin Kun planned to upgrade the prize pool first and then draw cards. However, Lin Kun estimated that after upgrading the prize pool, the contribution points he needed to draw cards would also increase. This was inevitable, but even if it increased, Lin Kun felt that he should be able to bear it. After all, it was not the time when the Bacatans had just landed. At that time, it was difficult for him to obtain contribution points, but now, his strength continued to improve, and he could quickly obtain contribution points, and he could also support a greater investment in contribution points for card drawing. But before officially upgrading the prize pool to draw cards, Lin Kun did another thing first. He took out all the incense, embroidered shoes, and hairpins. According to the description of the fairy gaze card, he did the same, made a circle, and operated the concentration technique, and then prepared to draw cards. His lips moved, and he muttered silently. Possessed by the Emperor of Europe, blessed by the fairy, possessed by the Emperor of Europe, give me luck against heaven. Give me luck against heaven. Lin Kun finished reciting, but there was no response for a while. He was a little confused, thinking, did I open it in the wrong way? Suddenly, he felt like a thorn in his back. He was startled and thought that it was the fairy's gaze, but when he turned his head, he saw Chu Yue looking at him strangely. This girl, who was always calm and cold, rarely showed a strange expression. You are. It turned out that it was not the fairy's gaze, but the girl's gaze. Lin Kun scratched his head and was about to make up a few words, but suddenly his eyes lit up. Because in front of him, words that only he could see appeared. The blessing was successful. The unknown fairy cast a curious look at you, sensing who was calling her, and sent you blessings. You have obtained extreme luck. Duration, 2 minutes. Yes, that unknown fairy must be extremely powerful. How could he sense her gaze? However, looking at the last line of text, Lin Kun instantly became excited. Success. The fairy's gaze. The ultimate luck is here. Lin Kun had not forgotten Chu Yue's searching eyes. He smiled and said, this is a mess I found when I was looting before. I have a female companion in the survivor base, and I plan to take it back to her. Chu Yue did not doubt him, glanced at it, and said nothing more. Instead, he turned his head again, closed his eyes, and rested his mind. On the other side, Lin Kun had already rolled up the things on the table without stopping, and was ready to start drawing cards quickly. 2 minutes of time, there is no room for waste. Be the first to spend 100 contribution points to upgrade skills. Instantly, the description of his talent skills has changed to a certain extent. Talent. Card drawing bonus ability. Type. Transmigrator talent unique. Talent ability rating. Super S level. Talent ability level. 2nd level. Description. After testing, you are an individual from another world and civilization, and you are also the only participant in that civilization. You will receive special bonuses and can obtain technological weapons, physical materials, fantasy skills and attribute bonuses from your world by drawing cards. Current number of card draws remaining, 0. From this panel data, except for the change in the level of talent ability, the other descriptions are exactly the same as before. Lin Kun's mouth twitched, and his eyes moved downward, but he saw the contribution points required for the upgraded talent ability card draw. 50 contribution points. Draw a card once. Lin Kun was shocked. This is so much more than before. This is something Lin Kun did not expect. He estimated that the number of contribution points would increase with the upgrade of skills and card pool, but he did not expect that it would increase so much, directly increasing by 40 points compared to the original 10 points. However, Lin Kun reacted quickly. The consumption increased by 40. Then, the level of this round of card pool will also increase. Lin Kun was glad in his heart. Fortunately, he did not upgrade his talent skills in advance, otherwise, it would take a long time for him to draw a card once for 50 contribution points. But now, 50 contribution points are not difficult for Lin Kun to obtain. These thoughts flashed through his mind, and Lin Kun's hands did not pause for a moment, and he immediately started to draw. He had a total of 267 contribution points. He just drew a card and consumed 50 points, and upgraded and consumed 100 points. After upgrading, even if he used 50 contribution points once, he could draw a card twice. Here it comes. Deduct 100 points directly. 2 consecutive draws. Lin Kuan was crazy today. He has recovered a lot now, and his energy has become abundant. His eyes are shining, and he stares at the screen, looking forward to what he can draw. The card slowly emerged. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. The picture on this card is giant. Lin Kuan almost thought he saw it wrong. But the fact is that it is a giant standing tall. The world of Attack on Titan. Armored Titan card. The card slowly emerged. Lin Kuan's eyes moved and he immediately looked down. Name: Armored Titan skill card. Type: skill card inherent. Description: use this skill card. When you have enough physical strength, you can transform into an armored titan, 15 meters tall, with agility increased to 1 times the original attribute, strength increased to 3 times the original attribute, and physical and energy attributes increased to 2 times the original attribute. The whole body is covered with armor. The image and some characteristics of the transformed titan are closely related to the skill releaser. Tip: load this skill card to get 2 points of permanent physical bonus. Special note: this card is one of the Attack on Titan decks. Collect the Warhammer Titan, Beast Titan, Colossal Titan, Armored Titan, Attack Titan, Female Titan, Jaw Titan, and Cart Titan cards to synthesize the Founding Titan card and gain the ability Rumbling. Looking at the description on this card, Lin Kuan's breathing was a little stagnant. It really is a Titan card. And it is an Armored Titan card with extremely strong single combat power. The ultimate luck, it really doesn't lie to me. And not only that, this card is actually a card in a series of cards, and it is also a series of sets of cards. Collecting 8 of the 9 giant cards can synthesize the Ancestral Giant card, and even obtain the terrifying ability of the Rumbling. That is an extinction level ability. Once activated, Lin Kuan's eyes glowed. If such an ability is activated, the ground forces of the Bacatans in the Magic City will be destroyed. Then he is equivalent to holding a mobile nuclear weapon. And the attributes of the Armored Titan card alone are exaggerated. Agility is doubled, strength is tripled, physique and energy are directly doubled, and the remainder is directly up to 15 meters in height. The giant card he just used has become a garbage card in front of this card. This time, all attributes are improved. Unknown Fairy, possessed by the European Emperor. Lin Kuan was excited. Logically speaking, even if he upgraded his level 2 talent and the card pool level was also increased, it was unlikely that he would draw such a powerful card at the first draw. The reason why he was able to draw a top-level card was undoubtedly due to his extreme luck. Directly maxed out. Draw a good card. Directly blocked ordinary and general cards. Moreover, the effect of the Armored Titan card is not only these data on the panel. Lin Kuan has watched the anime Attack on Titan. He knows that after the giantization, the giant form is lifted and all injuries of the human body will be restored. Even broken arms and legs can be directly regrown. Of course, the premise here is, you have enough physical strength to activate the giant form skill. In the setting of the anime, transforming into a giant requires a lot of physical strength. If your injuries reach a certain level or your physical strength is insufficient, you can't activate this skill at all. This is an absolute premise. However, with the 2 permanent physical bonuses brought by this giant ability, Lin Kuan's physical fitness has also reached 35 points. Under normal circumstances, the recovery of physical strength is slower than that of ordinary people, and the recovery of physical strength will also be very fast, so there is no need to worry about this. Lin Kuan couldn't help but get excited, and the injuries on his body didn't hurt. If he transformed once, all his injuries would be healed immediately. It's time to let the world feel the fear from the giant. Of course, at this time, Lin Kuan didn't have time to transform once with the field to try. His eyes were moving rapidly. The 2-minute European Emperor possession time has not yet ended. The second card is slowly emerging. Lin Kuan looked over expectantly. The moment he saw it, his expression changed. Because he hadn't seen the content on the card yet, he saw a burst of golden flashes like the Fairy Gaze card. This is another golden card, more powerful than the Armored Titan. However, the golden light of this card doesn't seem to last long. With the completion of the second card extraction, Lin Kuen's 2-minute possession of the European Emperor is almost over. This time was just right. All of Oh Huang's abilities were used to draw cards, and nothing was wasted. If there is no time wasted before and the 2-minute mechanism is lucky, the card can be drawn 4 times. But at this time, he was also casting his gaze, looking at the card in front of him with some curiosity. This golden card is a golden card, but it doesn't seem that golden. This is. The first thing Lin Kuan saw was an S. There was a move in his heart. Sure enough, this card is. Name: Superman Transformation Card. Type: Transformation Card. Consumable card * 3 times. Transformation Card Grade: C Grade. Description: Using this skill Transformation Card, you can transform into the Kryptonian Kal-El of Man of Steel. You will gain some of its characteristics and all abilities while maintaining your own characteristics. The original basic attribute panel and skills will be all blocked, and Kal-El's panel data will be obtained, lasting 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Each point of basic physical fitness can maintain the transformation for 6 seconds. Special note: because the difference between your physique and the target of transformation is too large, your flesh and blood body cannot maintain the transformation state for a long time. If you maintain it forcibly, your body will collapse and die. Special note: this card is a transformation card. Using it will consume a lot of physical energy. Please pay attention to the remaining number of uses of the card. Superman, Man of Steel. Lin Kuan took a breath. Looking at the effect of this card, I don't know whether to be excited or frustrated. Because although this is a Superman card, it is not a skill card with superhuman abilities, but a transformation card, a type of card he has never seen before. This is obviously enabled after upgrading the secondary card pool. This time, Lin Kuan finally understood why the golden card didn't flash as long as the Fairy's Gaze card this time. It was because it was a transformation card, not a real superhuman ability card. It's just a C-class card. A true superhuman ability card, maybe a level. Lin Kuan guessed that this should be related to his current card pool level. His card pool was still not high enough, so he could only draw the transformation cards of the Superman Clark brothers, because there were no skill cards for them in the card pool. After all, he is only in the second level card pool now. The ability to draw C-level cards from the second level card pool is actually an exaggeration. If you want to obtain more powerful cards, it is also important to continuously upgrade the card pool. Of course, if it weren't for extreme luck, it would be extremely difficult for Lin Kuan to draw such a card. And with the blessing of this heaven-defying extreme luck, Lin Kuan's 2 cards in a row were very powerful, saving a lot of money in drawing cards, and directly produced 2 super powerful cards. However, 2 minutes of the world is actually enough for Lin Kuan to activate the ability to draw cards 4 times. In other words, to draw ultimate luck, he can only use 4 cards at most. Fortunately this time, Lin Kuan's contribution points were only enough to draw cards twice. If you contribute more points in the future and draw cards more than 4 times, you will still have to struggle. Should I wait for good luck before drawing cards, or should I just ignore them and draw them all? But thinking about this, Lin Kuan suddenly came up with some special thoughts and was a little curious. In this case, can the Armored Titan card be upgraded? What changes can happen if you transform into an armored giant and upgrade? Could it be that the hard shell armor on his body transformed directly into titanium alloy steel armor? Chu Yue was still concentrating with her eyes closed, while Lin Kuan held the Superman card in his hand, groped for the high-quality card, and fell into deep thought. However, this Superman card is scary enough. In the world of DC, Superman is a ceiling-level existence. It is not a problem at all to withstand thousands of troops on his own. This is absolute strength. With this card, maybe. In front of his eyes, Bakayan's figure appeared. Maybe it won't take that long to kill Bakayan. Even if one's original skills and familiarity are temporarily invalidated due to the transformation of the transformation card, that is enough. Isn't Superman's strength enough to sweep across the Bakayan army? It's a pity that this card is also closely related to physical fitness. Lin Kuan's physical fitness is only 35 points. This is an exaggeration among humans, but it is still far behind Superman's physical fitness. He cannot withstand the transformation for too long, otherwise he will die due to this transformation. What can you do with 3 minutes? However, with the Sanctuary Singing card, it should be possible to add 2 more points of Constitution, extending the duration to 12 seconds. I don't know if this physique can be superimposed with the Armored Giant's physique doubling effect. Lin Kuan lowered his eyes slightly. Another way is to draw more attribute bonus cards. Directly increase attributes. Adding physique means directly increasing the transformation time. In the second level talent card pool, the attribute bonus cards drawn must not be just 5 points, at least 10 points. Lin Kuan guessed. Thinking of this, his heart suddenly moved. I wonder if extreme luck can be used in this way. When luck comes, just say I want an attribute bonus card. Can I draw attribute bonus cards directly? Since I'm so lucky, it's normal that I can get whatever I want, right? Lin Kuan immediately felt that this plan was feasible. However, the next time you pray for luck, you have to wait 12 hours, and you can't rush it. Lin Kuan also understood. If there is no buffer of 12 hours, he keeps praying for the fairy to look at him, then the fairy will definitely get angry. At that time, let alone the ultimate luck, it is possible that he will have bad luck every day, and he will never be able to turn over in this life. After pondering for a moment, Lin Kuan carefully put away this Superman transformation card. This card will be his biggest trump card. It is also his biggest confidence. Today, Lin Kuan drew cards to his heart's content. He drew 7 times in a row and got 8 cards, including powerful cards such as Fairy Gaze, Armored Titan, and Superman Transformation card. He was so excited. All these mean a huge improvement in strength. He has survived the initial accumulation, and next, his combat power will become stronger and stronger like a snowball. However, Lin Kuan also looked at them separately. He found that his current headshot girl skill needs 200 contribution points to upgrade. To upgrade the skill of the Armored Titan card, 300 contribution points are needed. And to upgrade his current talent ability, a full 2000 contribution points are needed. 2000 contribution points sounds exaggerated, but Lin Kuan is not surprised. This is normal. As the card pool gradually upgrades, the effect of the card becomes stronger and stronger, and the contribution points for upgrading are naturally more. Lin Kuan estimates that the number of contribution points required for a level 3 talent card drawing ability to draw a card once will definitely be very exaggerated, far exceeding the current 50 points. Lin Kuan is looking forward to this. Of course, that is also a later story. Lin Kuan took a deep breath, took the opportunity of his short infusion to go to the toilet, stood up, walked outside, and immediately exchanged the strawberries. He didn't want to let others help him in vain. So he prepared to share these strawberries with Chu Yue. In this era, strawberries are in short supply and more expensive than gold. Even the real big shots in the survivor base can't eat them. When Chu Yue, who had always been calm, saw Lin Kuan bringing strawberries over, her eyes became straight. I stood up straight away, almost thinking I had seen it wrong. Is this a strawberry? What an unexpected surprise. I found it in a small refrigerator in front. It should be the personal belongings of the employees here. Lin Kuan came up with the rhetoric he had prepared. Chu Yue didn't doubt that he was there. After all, Lin Kuan couldn't conjure strawberries out of thin air, but she had some doubts. The refrigerator in this building should have run out of power a long time ago, right? Can it still be eaten? Even so, she took the initiative to stand up and lean forward, her bright beautiful eyes instinctively looking at the box of strawberries in Lin Kuan's hand. Even she can't resist the temptation of strawberries. Luckily, it seems to be well preserved. Lin Kuan smiled and handed it forward. A box of strawberries weighs exactly 2 pounds. All of them are bright and colorful. This is the advantage of the supply card. 2 kilograms of strawberries, each one is of excellent quality, and none of them are broken or rotten. And this was just redeemed, very fresh. You are so lucky. Are these strawberries preserved so well? Chu Yue showed an obvious expression of beating heart, and instinctively wanted to reach out to take one to eat. At this time, she didn't care about whether to wash it or not, but she just stretched out her hand, but paused again and looked at Lin Kuan. One glance and took it back. This is Lin Kuan's thing. He found it here. Lin Kuan smiled, put down the strawberries, and said, I can't eat so many, let's go together. Thank you for helping me. Chu Yue was a little surprised. She looked at Lin Kuan and didn't show any pretense. She quickly reached out and started eating. However, what made Lin Kun find it interesting was that even though Chu Yue ate it, she was still very different. If Lin Kun eats one, she will eat one. Lin Kun paused, and she also paused. She would never eat even one more meal than Lin Kun. It's just that her eyes gleamed as she ate, revealing the appearance of a little girl other than the elite girl she used to be. Before the end of the world, who needs strawberries? But now, this box of strawberries seems to be better than countless delicacies. Lin Kun also moved his index finger and ate vigorously. The two of them didn't say much, they both ate attentively until the bottom of the box was bottomed out. There is one last one left. Chu Yue raised her head, blinked like a kitten, and took her hand back. Lin Kun was not polite and just laughed at the last one. The two people looked at each other and fell into silence for a while. After a while, Chu Yue continued to give Lin Kun acupuncture. Then comes quiet rest. Chu Yue was a very measured person. She was obviously curious about Lin Kun's abilities and strong resilience, but she never asked more than a word, and Lin Kun didn't ask more about her situation. In fact, Lin Kun was also somewhat curious about Chu Yue's abilities. Being able to escape from the encirclement of the two giant sailing ships of Bakadan is not something that ordinary people can do. Moreover, before logging in early, this girl's physical fitness had exceeded 16 points. Time passed slowly in silence. This hospital is exceptionally quiet and has good sound insulation. The loud noises and roars coming from the far side of the city become insignificant and inaudible here. Lin Kun was thinking about his abilities. His first reaction when he got the Superman card was actually, I'm done pretending, I'm Superman showing off my cards, I'm going to kill him. But after thinking about it carefully, he gradually realized that the use of this card is not that simple. 3 chances. He may not be able to fully utilize the 3.5 minutes. The more Lin Kun thought about it, the more worried he became. The strength gap between him and Superman is too big. If he truly transforms into Superman, he may not be able to make good use of Superman's power, and the level he can exert is limited. This is like a child driving a big car. If the size and body shape are not suitable, he will not be able to do it even if he wants to. However, the experience is still there. A big car is a big car after all. And most importantly, he thought of Superman's other ability. Super sensory. This is a double-edged sword, passive, that cannot be turned off. It can enhance people's sense of hearing, vision and smell hundreds of thousands of times, making people more keenly aware of everything around them. However, these huge amounts of information can also directly impact the brain, making people have splitting headaches, difficulty in normal activities, and even direct coma. In the original work, in order to adapt to the large amount of information that passively poured into his perception in order to adapt to his super senses, Superman spent his entire childhood learning and adapting to mastering these abilities. Zod was able to adapt in a short time because of his natural warrior nature, but for a time losing their combat effectiveness is because they are Kryptonians. How long does it take for you to adapt to your super senses? 3.5 minutes is probably not enough. This may be the reason why this card is only sea level. While gaining superhuman power, it will also suffer the negative effects of superhuman power. Powerful abilities are both bonuses and burdens. Lin Kun understood that with each of the 3 opportunities to transform into Superman, he would gain a better grasp of Superman's abilities, and the more he used them, the more proficient he would be. But the first time he uses it will definitely be the worst time he uses it. Therefore, he must use these 3.5 minutes carefully and try to use them at the most critical time. It is even more important to be prepared in advance to face the influence of super senses. Try to ensure that you are not unconscious and can move forcefully. It would be silly to faint or lose combat effectiveness like General Zod and the female adjutant Fiora in the movie. Even if you are affected, you must fight as successfully as possible. However, even if it may be badly used, Superman is Superman after all. As long as he doesn't faint, even if he can only use half of his combat power, he can crush Bakayan. Lin Kun also walked around the Contribution Point Mall. Unfortunately, the Kryptonian spacesuits in the movie are exclusive items and cannot be purchased in the mall. Other things that can block or weaken that level of super senses are classified as weapons. It is aimed at strong people with this type of ability, and is of extremely high level, so it is too expensive, and Lin Kuan cannot afford it. Even if he could afford it, Lin Kuan had never tried transforming into a Superman. In fact, it was difficult to say how effective it would be and whether it could offset the impact of super perception. Of course, with his current contribution and savings, even if it's cheap, it's something he can't afford if he's short of money. It's a pity that there are only 3 opportunities, otherwise Lin Kuan would like to try it once now to see what it looks like in application. This superhuman ability can only be explored and practiced in battle. Lin Kuan considered his abilities and made preliminary plans for his next actions. This time, it's time for him to settle things with Bakayan. And in the silence between the two people, time passed little by little. Lin Kuan's energy had already been replenished. With eating and time, he clearly felt that his physical fitness was gradually recovering. The effects of high physical fitness are showing. It's just that it obviously still takes time for those wounds to heal. However, that is no longer important. Lin Kuan estimated that he should have enough physical strength to activate the armored giant skill now. As long as it is activated successfully, he can recover from these injuries in 1 second, so there is no problem at all. In the past few days, Lin Kuan has also made new plans. He wants to return to the 6th prison survivor base as soon as possible. The war at Emerging Square has ended, and the 6th prison survivor base is the next target to bear the brunt of the attack. Before setting off for this operation, Xiao Yi had informed Lin Kuan of the military's plan. Lin Kuan was worried that he had returned too late and that the garrison at the survivor base had been defeated by the Bakadan army. So many soldiers died in vain. In the past, Lin Kuan had no confidence and was unable to change everything. But now, he holds the Armored Titan skill card and the Superman transformation card. Perhaps, he can reverse the outcome of the 6th prison survivor base. If the 6th prison survivor base does not fall, it can become Lin Kuan's Doomsday fortress in the Magic City. But Lin Kuan didn't believe it. Superman's transformation card is no match for Bakayan. After the infusion was completed, Lin Kuan slowly stood up from his seat and stood in front of the window of the inpatient department, looking at the smoke-filled Magic City outside. At this time, the sky had brightened, and from this position, one could even see a corner of Zongchang. The Bakadan people have several ships that look like engineering spaceships located at that location, and they seem to be building something in the middle city. Humanity is at a disadvantage, and the Bakadans have gained a foothold step by step and have begun their reconstruction of the Demon City. They also have their plans. The Bakadans are the real contestants. And humans are just unlucky natives. Just like ants and bugs in the sports competition venue. Chu Yue from behind seemed to notice something, and stood up and said, "Aren't you going to rest and recuperate anymore?" Yeah, the battle can't wait any longer. I want to go back to the 6th prison survivor base. Chu Yue couldn't help but said. As far as I know, the 6th prison survivor base is the next target of the Bakadan people. Bakayan has announced that it will defeat the emerging survivor base in a shorter time than the 6th prison survivor base. Her implication is, you have been defeated by Bakayan once and almost died. If you go now, isn't that asking for death? Lin Kuan shook his head and said decisively, "This time, I am sure, and we can't wait for them to uproot all our survivor bases one by one and destroy all our living forces before taking action, can we? We should take action while the humans in the Demon City still have the strength to fight. If we can win, we will win. If we can't, then we should give up completely and hide and run until the end of the 30 days. Listening to Lin Kuan's words, Chu Yue's expression changed slightly. "Then I'll go with you, I also have some fighting power." Lin Kuan's last words convinced her. Immediately, they set off directly. Lin Kuan's physique was high and his recovery was good. He could walk on his own, but he still couldn't exercise vigorously. Seeing him like this, Chu Yue was obviously a little suspicious. Lin Kuan was definitely like this. In this state, I don't know where his confidence comes from. He clearly wants to die quickly. But when they went downstairs, they heard sounds coming from the operating room area at the end of the 3rd floor. The two men looked at each other. There are people over there, or Inhumans. It was already daytime outside, but the light in the hospital was still a little dim. The sound came from the deepest part of the operating room. Lin Kun and Chu Yue looked at each other and stepped forward in unison. Chu Yue picked up a rifle carried on her back. The shoulder cannon on Lin Kun's shoulder automatically turned its muzzle. Of course, if you really encounter an enemy, Lin Kun's gaze will definitely be the fastest to attack. The headshot female skill is the best offensive method in an instant confrontation. The hospital was very quiet. There were blood stains on the ground, which spread from the stairs to the deepest part of the operating room. There were some medical equipment scattered on the ground, and there seemed to be lights in the operating room. The hospital's independent backup power supply remains operational. It should be a human being, Chu Yue said softly. This is similar to Lin Kun's judgment. Judging from the situation outside, someone must have come here injured. If the Bacadans were injured, they would not be able to come to a human hospital. This look is more like a human being saving himself. They moved forward slowly, and the man inside seemed to be alert and aware of the movement outside. The sounds in the operating room suddenly became quiet, and the lights suddenly stopped in the next second. Lin Kun and Chu Yue looked at each other. Lin Kun quietly took out his vibranium shield from the Chenkin bag. Seeing the shield suddenly appearing in Lin Kun's hand, Chu Yue was startled again and took a deep look at Lin Kun. Lin Kun did not explain or cover up. Immediately, Lin Kun took the lead in pushing open the door. Darkness. There was dead silence. Then the lights were turned back on. On the floor of the operating room, there was a large number of blood donations. There was a person sitting on the operating table. She wrapped her body in a blanket in the operating room and turned to look at them. She has no weapons. Even the whole body is hidden under the blanket. Only his head and a handsome but cold face were exposed. Lin Kun was shocked when he saw her. Because that person is Sha Ching. Lin Kun never expected to meet her here. Sha Ching's expression was particularly calm, and she also recognized Lin Kun. Thank you, you attracted all the Bacadan people, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see me here. And the way I look now, I should be it's not considered alive anymore. As she spoke, she slowly lifted her blanket from inside, revealing her body. Under the blanket, it was no longer a human body, but a broken steel body. It was a barrel-shaped body, only about 60 centimeters in height. The iron sheet looked very thin. There was an mechanical clamp on one side. There was a 12.7 mm muzzle at the front, and there was a glass tube at the top. The structure spread all the way up and connected to Sha Ching's head. Seeing this scene, Lin Kun and Chu Yue both gasped. Lin Kun even thought she was sitting cross-legged on the operating table just now, so he didn't see her legs, but he didn't expect this. In the contribution point mall, Lin Kun also saw similar things, called cyber equipment, which can replace flesh and blood. It has various functions and can be as powerful as some war mechas. As long as humans have a brain hidden inside, they can stay alive. Its technology is far beyond what humans have. If the connection is successful, you can use it like an arm and use your fingers, even better than your original body. Of course, the premise is that you must be able to accept this change. Of course, those high-end ones also need more contribution points. The one Sha Ching is using is obviously the cheapest and low-end. Except for a layer of iron on the outer ring, most of it is made of plastic, and even the wiring is exposed in many places. Lin Kun could hardly connect the person in front of him with the stunning and fairy-like woman on the battlefield. However, this is the bloody fact before our eyes. And this is the only possibility for her to survive. With such an injury, how could she possibly survive other than taking this route? I only have 260 contribution points, which can only be exchanged for this cyber body. Fortunately, I had anticipated this day, and my contribution points have been almost never used. I would also like to thank my A-level talent, otherwise I would never have survived the moment I could change my own body. Her robotic arm slid and slowly closed the blanket, covering her body. Chu Yue asked, why? It would be better to die. It may be better for you to die, but not for me. Sha Ching smiled, and she could still laugh. I kept so many contribution points just for this day, for the possibility of death. I will continue to live despite the situation, because I want to live. The Bacadans killed my husband, killed my children, killed my father, killed my mother, killed everyone around me. I want to live to see the day when they become extinct. Even if I may not be able to do it, I will try my best to help those who can do it. Therefore, when I was on the battlefield, I knew that if I rushed forward, it would be best to end up like this. I didn't care either, and I didn't hesitate. Compared to this, what does it matter what you become, whether you look like a human or a ghost? She was calm when she said this. These thoughts are no longer as simple as anger for her. Hatred has been engraved in my bones. Lin Kun looked at her and didn't know what to say. If the dead could be resurrected, maybe. But at that time, the battle was a race against time, and later Lin Kun was injured and unconscious. Now, Sha Ching has replaced her body, and it is obviously too late for anything. Sha Ching said, "Don't stand here, do what you need to do, don't worry about me. I can only survive now, and I can't help you for the time being. Don't let me hold you back. I will grow up little by little, and when that day comes, I will appear where you may need me." Lin Kun and Chu Yue were silent about this. Maybe Sha Ching was stronger than most survivors, but now, she can only start from scratch. Lin Kun and Chu Yue respected Sha Ching's choice and decision. They only found some medicine and food for her and left in a hurry. Sha Ching watched them leave from behind, silent. When Lin Kun and his friends came out of the East District Hospital, they were ready to go straight to the 6th Prison Survivor Base, or see if they could meet some survivors and ask about the current situation of the entire DC area. After all, it had been 7 or 8 hours since the battle last night, and Lin Kun was eager to know the situation. But unfortunately, they didn't find any survivors, but encountered a group of Bakadan armored troops. And this armored unit seemed to be searching for Lin Kun and his team, so they found this place all the way. Lin Kun and his team found them early. Chu Yue meant to avoid the sharp edge for the time being, but Lin Kun narrowed his eyes, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Maybe, it's time for the armored titan to appear. 2 tanks, 3 airships, I don't know if there are any V-shaped fighters nearby. In your current state, we'd better not confront them head-on. At this moment, they were hiding on one side, and Chu Yue analyzed calmly. She was ready to retreat. The armored forces of the Bakadans usually carry biological scanning devices or thermal imaging devices. If the distance is shortened, they may be discovered even if they hide nearby. She agreed with Lin Kun's words, but not with Lin Kun's injuries. But Lin Kun just shook his head. Just stand farther away. If they run away later, I'll leave it to you. Don't worry, I don't mean to be arrogant. Lin Kun's expression was serious. He just observed that the fighters were indeed difficult to find, but there were only this Bakadan nearby, no other Bakadans, and no sailing ships nearby. If they acted here, they could completely eat them and retreat calmly. At that time, even if there were really V-shaped fighters nearby, without the assistance of ground troops, it would not be able to keep biting Lin Kun and his men. Lin Kun could have taken action calmly, wiped out this armored unit, and left quickly. Looking into his eyes, Chu Yue was silent for a moment and began to retreat. Lin Kun had narrowed his eyes. His armored titan was not an ordinary armored titan. It was an enhanced version equipped with the Headshot Girl skill, Mario Strength, and Mario Jump. This armored unit allowed him to test the ability of his armored titan in this state. Of course, Chu Yue was right. He couldn't wait for the Bakadans to get close and find him before taking action, otherwise he would lose the initiative. Chu Yue retreated step by step. She was also ready for battle. With a rifle in one hand and a titanium alloy hatchet in the other, the hatchet was an exchange item. She arched her body like a female leopard ready to pounce. Her combat experience was not bad either. Her eyes were fixed on Lin Kun, wanting to see how Lin Kun, who couldn't even run away now, would be the main force against the Bakadan's armored unit. After all, from what Lin Kun said just now, it seemed that Lin Kun wanted to fight head-on and asked her to assist from the side. Soon, Chu Yue's pupils widened in shock. Because Lin Kun's body has become a giant again. Not only has it become a giant again, but it is taller and more terrifying than before. The body has expanded directly to a height of 15 meters. A layer of terrifying armor covers the blood-red muscles. What kind of ability is this? Last time, Lin Kun used the Jauntization effect card, which was just proportionally enlarged, but this time, he transformed into the armored titan. However, the transformation of the giant is often related to the original appearance of the transformer. The armored titan transformed by Lin Kuan is different from the armored titan transformed by Reiner in the Real Giant animation. Although it is not a proportional transformation, it can be seen that this is the shadow of Lin Kuan. Moreover, in the state of giant transformation, the giant body outside is not Lin Kuan's body. His body has been deeply buried in the flesh and blood of the giant body. In other words, in this state, Lin Kuan is like driving a giant mecha in a fully immersed way, but this mecha is made of flesh and blood. Even if the giant body is injured, as long as the body inside is not injured, Lin Kuan is not injured. Not only that, when the giant form is lifted, Lin Kuan's original injuries will be directly restored. The giant ability is definitely a very strong ability that can attack and defend on the battlefield. At this moment, Lin Kuan's heart is also excited. He even wants to shout a few words. Giant, come on stage. One person against a small-scale Bakadan armored force is also an unprecedented challenge for Lin Kuan. It is something he could not do and dared not do before. But now, he will fight. Under the Jantization, he can sink the sailing ship. Now that the armored titan has transformed, he is more powerful than when he was Jantized. He has fully possessed the strength to fight a Bakadan armored force head-on. At this moment, Lin Kuan's attributes are comprehensively improved. Physical fitness and energy are all doubled. What surprised Lin Kuan was that his energy doubled, not the upper limit, but his existing available energy doubled, which directly made Lin Kuan's energy break through the sky. Is it still like this? At this moment, Lin Kuan's attributes are already. Name, Lin Kuan. Level, 10, 7,916 thousandths. Strength, 57. Agility, 34. Constitution, 70. Energy, 64 30 seconds. Talent, card drawing bonus ability. Strength 57. Agility 34. Constitution as high as 70. With such values, I am afraid that even the humans in the entire Magic City cannot find a panel attribute higher than Lin Kuan. Moreover, except for agility, the others are all above 50 points. With such attributes, looking at the entire East District, there is no human being higher than Lin Kuan. Among the Bakadan people, Lin Kuan can also walk sideways. With 64 points of energy, even if only 6 points are left, he can still headshot 29 times crazily without taking drugs. And now he can kill all creatures with a physical strength below 140 points in 1 second. None of the Bakadans present can withstand his gaze. At the same time, Lin Kuan activated Mario's power synchronously. On the original basis, it was improved again. Directly became 85.5. The strength attribute also reached the height that Lin Kuan had before. But he did not use Mario's careless skill. After all, this was the first time to use the armored titan to transform. Lin Kuan was worried that if he stretched his physique, his brain would not work well and cause some problems. Moreover, with his current attributes, it was enough. Lin Kuan felt that his body was full of explosive power. The world in front of him was clearer than ever before. Chu Yue, who was nearby, seemed to be very small. Chu Yue was also surprised. This Lin Kuan was obviously beaten like that, how could he still transform? Not only could he still transform, but the form he transformed into was obviously more powerful than before. But Chu Yue was a practical person. Seeing Lin Kuan showing his strength, she immediately moved, turned around, and ran directly into another street, preparing to outflank from the side. And Lin Kuan directly attacked head-on. In fact, he had no other choice but to attack head-on, because his existence had been discovered by the Bakadans. Such a big giant appeared out of thin air, and of course the Bakadans could not fail to discover it. Lin Kuan strode forward, facing the dense bullets fired by the Bakadans. He did not evade at all and charged forward. Under the strong armor protection of the armored titan, those bullets and machine guns could only penetrate the armor at most, and could not hurt Lin Kuan inside. Even if some bullets occasionally penetrated, the giant's body was almost unaffected, and Lin Kuan's body could not be injured. Facing the muzzles of 2 tanks and airships, Lin Kuan directly picked up 2 scrapped SUVs from the ground and used them as shields. When they were blown up, he picked up 2 more. Anyway, the streets are full of scrapped vehicles now. Lin Kuan accelerated little by little. Every step of his huge body seemed to tremble half of the street. He rushed towards the Bakadans' array with unstoppable force, facing the Bakadans' artillery fire. During the charge, wherever he looked, the Bacotans were shot in the head one after another. At that moment, seeing such a giant human rushing towards them recklessly, all the Bacotans present trembled. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.